Okay. Um, okay. Um, I do. Oh, yeah. Okay. My audio sounds good. Hopefully the video audio sounds good too. I just messed with a bunch of stuff, so I'm hoping. So Smeth finally put out Destiny report. If you're here, you probably already know that. But I've been pretty excited for it. So I haven't streamed in a while, and I thought it'd be a great video to do back, especially since I just got YouTube partnered. I want to do something kind of cooler than just like a whatever stream. So uh, this is pretty exciting for me. Not a lot of content about Mr. Grill been out lately, so um, I finally got some. I'm excited to check it out. It is a whopping 2 hours, 2 minutes, and 22 seconds. That's kind of funny. So here we go. Oh shit.
How much money is it going to cost?
Oh, just to be upfront, I started watching it, and at like exactly the 2 minute mark, I paused and was like, I'm gonna get a hold of Smeth and see if he minds if I watch this on stream because I would really like to. The first 2 minutes I've already seen, but everything else is totally fresh to me. Oh, 1080p. There we go.
Curious, if you think my content demonstrably harms people, tell me how. I'm totally open to that. If our content is causing harm to people, then that's of course something that I would want people to call me out on. And I deal with those issues all the fucking time on my streams. It's a central part of my content. But also, I'm also very emotionally receptive to the women that I talk to as well. Like if I'm talking to a woman, I can have like a decently like in-depth, like emotionally mature conversation too. You can say, hey, you're being a little baby fuck and you're taking it way too personally. You could say that too. That's a counter to me. That's fine.
Are you open for me to maybe give you some criticism? The way that I said it would not be true.
Fuck. If you disagree, shoot me an email from a thing or whatever. I'm receptive to feedback, but Jesus Christ, it's so irritating to you know what, guys? I'm really stubborn sometimes, but I am receptive to feedback. But generally, when people are saying things like I'm bad faith, I usually do ban those types of people. This entire arc has really made me rethink all the claims he makes about himself being more open to criticism compared to his streaming peer. Like, bro, are you fucking serious?
I really like that intro.
The Destiny Report: Retaliation, Negligence, and Sexual Misconduct. How Stephen Bonnell II abuses his platform.
The issue you're running into, and ironically, it's kind of the issue with his report, is that in Max's worldview, being mean to people online is a form of abuse. The reason why it didn't land the way that he wants it to, and the reason why it won't land the way that he wants it to, is because he's missing the crucial section where he needs to lay out what abuse is and how people like me further abuse. And in his frame of reference, everything kind of makes sense, but he never does anything to justify or build that frame of reference. If I was going to argue the DDoS story to somebody, like that I wanted to kill this kid and his dad, which I did and still would, based, fuck those two people. But if I wanted to argue that, I know that to most people, that's going to sound really crazy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a lot of groundwork to try to lay out, well, I believe in self-defense. I think that if you're going to try to take somebody's income, especially if they've got a family, I'm going to do work to build that out. And you might agree or disagree along the way, which is fine, but I'm at least going to make the effort to do that. In Max's world, he needs to take time to justify why the actions that I'm taking are abusive, not just give actions that I'm doing and claim they're abusive. What he could have said is, Destiny engages in retaliation in a way that makes future criticism of him impossible. Here are 3 examples of that happening. He could have built on these 3 stories and in a very, very short, cohesive manner laid out this idea, and then he could have left it open for the future. Maybe there are other orbiters in the future that are scared to criticize Destiny because they've seen the retaliation he's taken in the past. Even if those were justified, other people, like, this is like a potential storyline that he's got all the material there for it, but in his world, he doesn't need to justify or write any of that. You should just agree with it automatically without even thinking about it. But the presentation and everything is obviously so fucked and poor because he doesn't feel like he needs to justify himself. And that's like the perpetual problem that he has in his life. That's why the only people that he'll ever find himself surrounded with agreeing with him are people that he's manipulated. So Lav and his zombie fuck girlfriend Shaylin. Like, nobody else will ever agree with him, but as long as he's got like the people around him he's manipulated, it's enough for him to, like, I guess, infinitely vibe into the fucking echo chamber. Yeah. Sometimes people will criticize me for a certain behavior, but it's not actually the behavior that's the problem. It's like an abstraction from the behavior. So, for instance, like, people might say, like, oh, like, you've got a problem because you've, like, fucked too many people or whatever. And it's like, that's not really the problem, though. The problem right now is Max. The problem is other people that obsess over it.
If anybody makes
Is that really loud? I feel like that's probably turn it down a smidge.
cliff notes for the article, nobody's gonna read it. Oh my god, I was so close. And his fucking address, I had streets mapped out. You have no fucking idea. That's when I first started to get an interest in owning a weapon. I got a permit to own a gun and everything. So we're just on the murder kid, the DDoS kid. And I'm not even finished with this. How many more pages is this? And if this continues the way it is, this is horrible. I'm interested to know the citation for this part here.
Smeth move into his own place? I think it's what... I think that's what I'm supposed to gather. So, congratulations, man. And if not, then I guess ignore that.
What? This whole thing is an alternative reading of events that people are aware of.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what places people can find actual inaccuracies and which places people are just dismissing the whole thing outright by saying it's an alternative interpretation.
I've seen little engagement with the actual content of the Destiny report.
But I'm also wary of the editorializing.
Wait, are those markers or cigarettes? Oh, okay, the markers. I thought it was like a really full ashtray at first. I was like, holy shit. And that's because if I go to somebody's house and they have a really overfilled ashtray, like cigarettes stacked on top of cigarettes, which is what it looked like here, I probably don't want to be in your house ever. Anna, the beginning.
The way this story starts is fucking insane. Sexting her, then has sex with her, has her on his stream to talk about polyamory, which she's uncomfortable with. He knows she's uncomfortable with it. He keeps doing this with her. she makes some comments about him on her very small stream, and then he goes all out. And by the end of his stream, now there are comments like, "You literally slept with a psycho."
The early stage is familiar because
I understand
it becomes a
that
pattern.
someone being obsessive over you when you don't feel the same is not fun, but if you're engaging in polyamory, you're gonna have to be able to take responsibility for how that might impact people and be careful, because obviously that's not for everybody. She's clearly not meant for polyamory.
I think that part of the dynamic is really weird. I thought it was weird the parts where Anna said that like it's not okay for him just to expect her to be okay with him being polyamorous. That's probably the part of her side of things that I agree with the least, because she did know and agree with that. Granted, I don't think that you should just discard all of their feelings and just basically tell them to like get fuck figured out on your own or anything like that. But I don't know if I think that's super fair on her part.
After he ridicules her on his stream and breaks it all down, does his spiel, she's messaging him emotional hours after hours, day after day, and eventually, I don't know how many days passed, he agrees to talk to her again on stream. The boundaries of this relationship are not established very well whatsoever. I know that this kind of thing makes for good content. These personal conversations make for good content, but not when somebody is suffering.
Dig into it.
Linus says that Anna doesn't have enough information about Steven's relationships to call his behavior abusive, and without reaching out to other people.
This is not Linus Tech Tips. An older version containing errors was released accidentally. Although this was fixed 10 minutes after publication, the version I printed was straight from the press.
Affected, which would be inappropriate, she can't comment on it. So there's no appropriate way to ever comment on it. Because Anna felt obligated to keep Steven's secret about getting his ex fired from her job, his fans were clueless about the context of this argument, referring to the boundaries Steven has about how far he'll go to retaliate against somebody. You're making yourself the victim. I'm the victim here. And later adding, if you want to bring any friend into here and you want to let me explain what's happened, I guarantee you they will never ever side with you. I don't see how that's a good way to convince someone of anything aside from as a gaslighting technique. Near the end of the conversation, Steven explained why he was attacking her. I have to protect myself. I can't have a person that is saying incredibly nasty things about me to other people on the platform. I have to come out and give my side of the story, otherwise I look like this horrible abuser behind the scenes. Of course I have to. It's protecting myself. If they have, an average of 120 viewers on their stream, and you have an average of 5,000 or 3,000, it has a much bigger impact on them. Frustrated, Steven said, she's walking away from this thinking that I'm the person with the most problems. Drew asked if that mattered. None of this technically matters to me. I have nothing to lose here if my community harasses her forever. In that sense, the prerogative shouldn't be on me to resolve this. It should be on her. Steven said that Anna had made an ableist attack against him by calling him a sociopath. In November, Anna sent Steven several pages worth of unanswered DMs. She shared her ruminations about feeling humiliated, guilty, and angry, and pleaded for him to respond. It seems appropriate that he didn't respond to her. She had become very close to him. She was clearly in love with him. She had had sex with him. They'd had this kind of relationship. He didn't feel the same about her, and she was spamming him. Okay, it's back where it should be. This is where the story should end. On November 22nd, 2020, while Steven played Minecraft on stream, Dan read the following open letter to Anna, prefacing it with, "This was a joke, meaning I did not intend this letter to be sent." Listen here, you crazy fucking bitch. Steven doesn't want to be with you. He doesn't want to talk to you. He doesn't want to receive your constant, desperate Discord messages, blah, 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 blah. He just wants the content. He just wants to mud wrestle. He wants to fucking throw shit at the walls. Steven laughed and said, Dan, what the fuck is wrong with you? Dan continued. This goes on and on. I'm not sure how delusional you are to believe that there will ever be a world where Steven wants to talk to you again, but I wanted to thank you for the incessant entertainment you provide with your incoherent ramblings and pseudo.
Really like all the animal shots. Nice visuals to go along with the story. I like the narrative that he's putting down. Very, very cool.
Nonsense psychological takes. Let me be as clear as possible so you get the hint. Because it seems to me you are incapable of listening. You mean nothing to either of us. Dan? Either of us. What do you consider yourself part of the Destiny and Anna relationship? Oh, you don't mean anything to me or it's Steven or me. Where are you a little bit insecure? Dan, you a little bit insecure that Anna's getting the attention of Steven? You're the special one, Dan. Steven's special little boy. This was a ceasefire, and you brought up this old fucking drama to air out your fucking petty insecurities? Talk in private with Steven if you feel insecure about your fucking friendship with him. You fucking cretin.
Also an example of Steven sharing his sensitive details of his private life with a friend, and then his friend publicly leaking those details on his own platform, no less. Which is something he condemns Lav for to this day. Lav, the subject of much of the Destiny.
3 days later, on November 25th, 2020, Steven finally replied to Anna's ongoing DMs saying, in all caps, Anna, I don't think we're gonna resolve this one. 3 weeks later, they were sexting again. This is 3 days after he lets Dan go on a tirade about how she's an insane bitch and how they laugh about her in private. What the fuck is this relationship? Like, what is this? This makes no sense. You should have just fucking kept ignoring her. God fucking damn it. I don't understand this message. Anna, I don't think we're gonna resolve this one. All fucking caps. Okay, so they're sexting again, and then Anna confronts Destiny about something he said about choking out his ex-wife. The fucking balls on Anna to think that she has a relationship with Destiny where she is able to still criticize him openly. How can she still have a backbone in any way? That's like very impressive. Something Anna says. Both partners have some responsibility. Research shows that in violent relationships, both partners do things that escalate the violence instead of de-escalating it. And all I see from you are behaviors that are aggressive and escalate, and you think they are self-defensive. Destiny tells Anna, you have some insanely antisocial tendencies that inhibit you from being able to communicate with or understand other human beings. This makes me sad. To me, it's clearly projection on behalf of Destiny. I think he does struggle with that, and I think he's struggling this whole time, understanding what's going on. And I think there are people like Dan that are egging him on. When I was so confused earlier about why would he send that message, it was because of the fucking shit-flinging Dan engaged in. So he started memeing. And I think he has a hard time sort of maintaining this empathetic simulation of another person that he has to, like, respect. After Anna criticizes Destiny for his opinions about domestic violence, he tells her she's antisocial, she doesn't understand people. She's lashing out at her, saying she should never be a therapist. I really feel for that because he's saying that if you were my therapist, you would be failing me right now. And that's fucking true. She's not his therapist. This is a fucking insane relationship. But he wishes that she could help him. He wishes that she would empathize with him. he blocks her after this. Very strange end to a strange string of events. I think Destiny's reaching out. I think he's opening himself up to this. And if not for the power imbalance, he might even be engaging in something positive by opening himself up to Anna like this. Every time you tell him he's horrible at dealing with criticism, he yells, "Oh my fucking god."
What the fuck is he doing? I have no idea what he's doing in the dark thing.
Oh, I'm so receptive to criticism. Everybody knows this about me. You can come and talk to me about anything. And then he does this shit. Like, she's like, I think I have a problem with what you said about choking your ex-wife out. He's like, fuck, you should never be a therapist. You should be ashamed of yourself. That's not a good way to engage with criticism. You said it. It's a very provocative thing. You're gonna have to fucking be able to talk about it with some, like, level of maturity, you motherfucker. So then Destiny, after blocking Anna, posts their DMs publicly. So, was he doing this all along just to continue farming for her for content, or was he actually trying to have some kind of relationship with her? What, like, wasn't their relationship now supposed to be private? Why is it now public again? Why was blocking her not enough? On February 12th, 2023, Destiny wrote the following comment in my subreddit, Max, on a
Music goes pretty hard here.
thread about the alleged choking. Just as an FYI, I've never choked anyone to or near the point of unconsciousness in my life. I have never even really choked someone. It was more just holding onto them from behind to get them to stop hitting me. I get the feeling that Max thinks this is a lie. He was taking his
My wife said that's the place that Smeth goes to kill people.
own experience and bringing it to an extreme. And you do the same thing with your conversations about the similar topics, about how you stopped hitting women. You said that you hit your ex-wife, and then, you know, later on you will backtrack and you said, well, I did hit her, but it wasn't very hard and it was mutual. But those aren't details. That's not nuance that you want when you're engaging in the extremes of the hypothetical. And I think it's fair to extend Destiny the same level of charitability. She tries messaging on Instagram. He tells her no contact. He blocks her. She tries messaging him on Twitter, any form that she possibly can, saying shit like, seriously, do you wish I were dead? Would you fucking meme my suicide for content? And then eventually, by summer, Steven was sexting her again. Okay, what happened in between her asking him if he would meme her suicide for content and them sexting again? In June, Anna asked Steven to help repair her reputation. Steven, if I said anything now, people would just be really dramatic and dumb about stuff. I'm guessing he's talking about me right now. Yeah, it doesn't look good. Steven's always the one calling people out for hypocrisy. You gotta take one page out of the fucking lab playbook, motherfucker. You need to be comfortable being a hypocrite if you're gonna win this one. On August 29th, 2021, Steven complained on stream that Anna was privately telling people that he's a dark triad abuser. So he's privately now friends with her, and then publicly still shitting on her. When Dan expressed dismay that Steven was still in contact with Anna, Steven said that the only way to prevent Anna from going on constant hate tirades about him is to try to be somewhat friendly with her. So I guess instead of blocking her and ignoring her, then the only thing that he can do is manipulate her. The same day, Steven DM'd Anna. Do you understand that it's really bad that you're making new friends that are already my friend and then venting to them about me?
Yeah, polar bear.
Then Steven tries doing the right thing and hears Anna's pleas. He goes in a quote-unquote monotone voice on his stream and says that...
Does the boss do blight in this, guys? Oh, also... Okay, hold on, okay? I'm making a public announcement. Anybody that doesn't understand this is getting permanently banned, okay? We're putting all of this behind us, okay? Listen, okay? Me and Anna are perfectly fine. She is not a crazy person. She is not a stalker. We have had fights publicly where there's been name calling on both sides, but you know what? Everything is cool, and we're past all of that. We've all made mistakes, and we're all moving on from it. There. Okay. There you go. All right.
Sir, yes, sir.
Next one.
Just curious, when's your next composition conference?
I feel a little better now though, because now that it blew up on Zerka's show, I have so many people messaging me that seem to understand how unhinged she is. I'm not worried anymore now. So everyone that thought I was being held hostage, you were right. My thought process before was that maybe if we can just be friends and chill, everything will be okay and she'll stop talking about me publicly. The scary thing is that she started to get into these communities where I had a whole bunch of mutual friends. So for instance, a whole bunch of people started DMing me that were like, hey, do you know this Anna person? I got really scared because then it seems like another Bob 7 situation where it's like, is she about to go and tell every single person that I'm this abusive, horrible person? Defense mode activated. Dan said, actions have consequences to a certain extent, like when someone does something bad or stupid, and you call someone an abuser in front of everyone else because they stopped talking to you. When that happens, bad things kind of come back to you. Anna started tweeting again because she's always tweeting. She's getting shit on Twitter a lot, which I guess is good. I hate to say that, but I don't know how to make her stop. I'm 100% confident in saying that that's signaling to his fans that they should go shit on her because he likes that and approves of it. Anybody else that
Just, I feel like people are just gonna pick that apart because like you can't prove it, but like I think it's situations like this where it gets really old and tired, the whole idea that you can't say anything if you can't prove it. Like there are things that we know. Like there's patterns and subtext that if you have an understanding of something or somebody, like you know what they're saying, even if you can't prove it, because like you can never prove anything about what anybody's ever really meaning when they say anything, anyways. But we know, we can infer, and when people try to harp on that, the take that Smith just gave, I just think it's so like this. Like I don't think that anybody would actually disagree with Smith on that. I think that it is one of the most obvious things. But I've heard people act like it's not the case, and it's just like the copiest cope.
platforms Anna now at this point. Destiny's going to say that they're making money and they're exploiting a mentally ill girl. And without platforming her, he's able to slander her, talk shit about her, respond to her, get all this drama content off of it, but he's not exploiting her.
I was unprepared for the shower scene. The angriest bathtub look.
I've seen some really unhealthy poly dynamics, but this is one of the least healthy. This always happens with women. They recognize off the bat that there's a toxic person, that there's a toxic guy. But then as they get to know him, the sense of familiarity takes over. I've done this with multiple toxic relationships where I recognize immediately that this is a toxic person, but then because I continue to be exposed to them in like a platonic sense, particularly like a meaningful context, I warm to them. So I've heard so many times that Anna is like, she harasses him because he doesn't pay enough attention to her after sex, but she warned him. She says, expressed concern he would grow distant or even cut her off after they had sex. She warns him that it would be a problem if he did that to her. And that's valid. That's an important thing to communicate in poly relationships. In any relationship, this hurts people. When she reacts as if she's been severely hurt by him, can't call that abusive and harassment. This was an upfront part of the initial negotiations of their relationship. From the airport, he DM'd Anna, "Okay, about to board my first flight. Thanks for the past few days, Anna. I had a lot of fun."
Yeah.
Why the fuck is it in caps lock? So she's saying you don't have a right to hurt people. And then he says, yeah, I have the right to do anything I want. She's like, no, you don't. That's entitlement. Then he goes on, what do you mean? As long as I'm not hurting anybody else, I have the right to do anything I want. But here, what he's saying is, he's saying he has the right to hurt people. Mm-hmm. And then he switches to, as long as I'm not hurting anybody else. It's the opposite of, this is the opposite of what he's saying here. And now he's just drawing it further and further away from the topic. He's just obfuscating. I have nothing to lose here if my community harasses her forever. In that case, the prerogative should be on her to resolve this?
Yeah, that run bothered me too.
That's fucked up. She's been resolving it in the same way that Destiny would resolve it, by going on the offensive, essentially. He's punishing her for using the same tactics that he would use.
Why did you have to write this fucking massive diss track and then read it live? Like, what the fuck, dude?
He's reading it on Destiny's stream. Destiny obviously gave him permission to do this. It's like she didn't have sex with a guy, she had sex with a corporation. She's so fucking base. Research shows that in violent relationships, both partners do things that escalate the violence instead of de-escalating. All I see from you are behaviors that are aggressive, and you think they are self-defense. She's not using this as a cudgel. She's like, yes, there is a gray area, and what you did is still dangerous, unacceptable. He's so threatened that he doesn't even have a response to that. He just has devaluation. Is to tell her that she's insanely antisocial and is inhibited from being able to communicate with or understand other human beings.
I don't know who was reading this. I guess I assume it's like Smeth's girlfriend. She seems pretty smart. I like her analysis.
During a 12-person panel, Anna tearfully accused Steven of emotionally abusing her. The other panelists mostly urged her to calm down and let it go. Because I had read these comments about this person being like a crazy stalker lady.
Yeah.
And then I watched that and I was like, what the fuck? This is twisted. Like, the entire situation is twisted and she's obviously genuine.
At this point, if you continue to engage with it, I'm just making money off you. I got 150,000 views on my last YouTube video. I am profiting from your suffering and agony.
about most of these people is that they're not totally shitty people. Most of these people are good people in the right context. And that's kind of what makes it freaky, in my opinion.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Max says, I'm telling this person to stop saying bad stuff about me only for her own good. I'm a saint, and I just want what's best for you. And what's best for you is to keep my name out of your fucking mouth, you lying bitch. Stephen ignores it after a pause. He asked his chat, where did I go get that dragon stone? I always thought that this would be something where you have to read between the lines, like he's not actually telling them to go to Kiwi Farms. Actually, he literally tells them to go to Kiwi Farms to talk about her. He says it as if it's a good place. He's like, people put a lot of effort into categorizing and archiving everything. There you go. He literally tells them to go there, to a place where her information is doxed. It's very direct. He just says, go to Kiwi Farms. The day Steven signal boosted the thread, there were 35 posts following.
That's weird. I almost started whispering. A strange effect of hearing somebody else whisper, you just instinctually feel like you have to whisper. I think that the Kiwi Farms thing is probably the most indefensible thing out of all of it. That's like crazy to me. I think that like there's a lot of things that are like kind of gray or iffy with some of the Anna stuff. In some parts of it, it's pretty gray. At least, at the very least, it gets a lot more gray when you've just sort of seen it by watching Destiny. If you're a Destiny fan, I think it's really easy to just sort of be like pulled over to his side and only see his side of things. And while I do think that he did some fucked up stuff too, like I don't think it's all completely one-sided. I think that he's done a lot of like really fucked up stuff. I think that Anna's definitely done some stuff that's fucked up too. But if there's anything that kind of like tips the scales here at all, and it's not just like, oh, you know, there's just two people and they both like did fucked up stuff to each other, ended up being bad. I think that the Kiwi Farms thing definitely is the thing that shifts the weight of like who's being more fucked up here, Destiny or Anna. Like regardless of where you're standing, I think that you have to kind of be like, this is the worst thing that has happened here from either party. To me, that's not even like, I think it rises to something like it's worse than like threatening somebody. This is like actively trying to harm another person, in my opinion. That part was really fucked.
By another 99 that week. Destiny knows how the internet works. He's not stupid. Like, this is, if this was a mistake, he's a fucking moron. A Destiny fan says, if this is something that has to be discussed, do it in private, for the love of God. I wish this fan was there at the fucking beginning of the whole story.
I wonder if Steven is drawn to Anna because she sees him for who he truly is.
Even in private, she keeps calling him out.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Yes. It's like, it seems pretty central to their relationship. People like this, they see everything as a game. And I think that he likes that she sees him as the player.
I tend to see a pattern where he's projecting and extremely emotionally vulnerable. I hope the relentless negativity continues to play well for you when you're ultra depressed, when you cry in the middle of the night, person, and all you can do is contribute negativity online.
The whispering kind of freaks me out. I'm not gonna lie. It makes me anxious. It's like I'm on alert for like, why are we whispering? Destiny speaking to Sam, a non-binary 21-year-old and fan of Destiny's rival streamers Hassan and Vash, who thought that Destiny's involvement in electoral politics was poisonous for Gudgel's campaign. Okay, that is just what he read. Make sure.
So, Destiny has this fight with this guy Sam. Because he's getting emotional that Sam doesn't think he's good PR for this guy's campaign. And then they get heated. Sam gets drunk. Destiny then takes clips from that stream, sends it to Sam's employer, and then also sends tweets Sam made from when he was 15 years old to his employer, saying he's anti-Semitic because he made a Hanukkah joke. Darius, I'm very glad that you didn't kill yourself, and I think it was really funny when you screamed at Lav. The thing that is weird about having two people on, that you're sexting at the same time, and neither of them know the other is sexting you. So Destiny bringing on Lav and Genevieve at the same time. The thing that's weird about that is, if you're sexting with someone, you have like an extra layer of trust. So both of these women have this, they feel like they have this close connection to Destiny. And they don't know that the other woman also thinks that about him at the same time. Meaning the whole dynamic of the conversation is weighted in favor of Destiny no matter what happens. And they think they have an extra layer of protection when they don't. There's a lot of small points that I feel compelled to defend Destiny in some way. And it reminds me of Trump. There is something in watching someone behave abusively that makes you want to defend them because you don't want to believe that it's abusive.
Yeah. I hope we're done whispering. You know what? I gotta play what it says. I use the restroom. Maybe I can like just a minute. I don't think I have anything cool on the screen. I still got that. Nah, that's garbage. All right, I'll just leave it like this. I'll be right back. Like 2 minutes. And I'm back. Sorry, that was unavoidable. I guess there's gonna be a little bonus at the end here. I found out something that I didn't know about, and it'll be quick at the end of this, but I gotta check it out.
Alright, I'm finally starting the lab section, and just flipping through, I'm noticing that it looks like the lab section, it looks like it's a quite a long section. It's a quite a long section. Let's get started with this. Starting off cute. You could describe this as like lamp shading. Welcome to the Orbiter Club. Now I feel less bad bugging you for feet pics. But this is so far cute. Lab is now talking about Destiny's polyamory relationship with Melina, and immediately I'm aware of how this is exactly how the Anna story started. I understand now what Max was talking about regarding this being very personal for him, because a lot of this lab stuff, this information, you said that it seems a little bit benign, but I think a lot of it is to do with his feelings of guilt and his personal relationship to the story, trying to air it all out. So when he says, I should have understood what was happening, but it would be another 2 months before I ran out of excuses for Steven, the reason he's adding this part is because he regrets it. So Lab says, your Reddit is self-harm. Steven says, don't go there, lol. If Steven was like a 50 viewer streamer, and a bigger streamer had a subreddit talking shit about him, would he actually not go there? From his behavior as it is now, I feel like if someone's talking shit about him, especially if they're bigger, he engages strongly. He will actively comment on it on his stream. He does the opposite of the advice that he tells people that are upset by stuff like his Reddit.
I think Destiny just says, yeah, but he can take it, right? That's why he can do that, and he'd advise other people not to. Saying that's right, but I think that's what the response
The other thing
is.
about the lab stuff so far, and I just fucking started, is it's really entertaining because she's very funny. Oh, by the way, you sexting with me has nothing to do with you going to my stream. She's like, oh, so you don't want to fuck me? Like, it seems like every time that Steven has these relationships with women, Dan has these big concerns that he has to bring up to Steven. He's worried about, oh, they're taking advantage of your vulnerability, blah, blah, blah. I think Dan clearly has a crush on Destiny. You've been fucked over by a lot of people, and I'm just trying to be like, hey, remember me? I'm Dan. Remember me, your pal Dan? Lab DM'd him. You're sicking your whole audience on this poor woman, Destiny. Tell her to stop fucking tweeting about me. Lab, she's nobody. She doesn't exist. She's just some random girl who tried to kill herself. People keep giving him the same criticism over and over and over again. He's just so receptive to criticism. What can I say? He's the best. Everybody can always come to him and give him feedback. This is advice I've told to you that Destiny is giving to Leah.
Where?
I've literally basically said that to you.
It's not bad advice.
Not at all. I think you're pretty smart, to be honest. Just confused about organizing some of the concepts in your head, but it's ultra fucking hard to sort that out in literal combat arenas online. You really are trying to figure out this stuff on ultra hard mode. Try not to let random losers discourage you online. Lab, try and sparkly heart. Oh, shit! The debate queen. Thank you so much for donating to the Trevor Project. I hit the goal. They can actually get their money now. Wow, $41. You're a fucking superstar. Thank you so much. Figure out how to enable my sounds on that. You're phenomenal. Thank you. That's super cool. I'm so happy to know that they get to get their money now. Wow, I guess I'm just speechless. I've had a handful of donations done, but yours is by far the most generous. That's hella cool. Again, I don't know what else to say. I'm just stunned. I really appreciate it. They're a really good charity, and I know that your donation is going to make a big difference.
Again, this seems
So
like something
cool.
I would say. Maybe I'm young Destiny. Fuck you. Okay, so I'm gonna finish this page and we could go somewhere else. Lav looks really smart. There's some times when Destiny looks compassionate, and sometimes he says things that sound like something I would say.
Something. If I don't know how it works, but when it gets sent over, if I get to attach like any message or anything, I'm gonna put a link to your stream attached to the Trevor Project donation. So super cool.
He screwed up.
So I've made a lot of comments about like the animals and stuff in this, but like the audio quality of this video is fucking amazing. And as somebody who can't seem to get their audio great streaming, like even these live shots, the audio is like so good. Like when they were by that fountain, you could hear like every drop of water. All the music has been like really good, like surprisingly good, just because I don't expect background music to be like fucking bangers like they've been in. Like I just think I was like very unprepared for like this type of video to have such good audio in like every category of it. That's definitely something I'm gonna reach out to Smeth to talk about. Just like, dude, what are you doing that gets this level of audio quality? Because it's fucking phenomenal.
By alienating her. She's awesome. She holds her own in this insane conversation with him. She's so powerful. She's such an asset. She's so entertaining. And he's doing the devaluation discard thing he does with all of these women, with all of these people. But it's so obviously it's like from his perspective, from the Machiavellian perspective, from the perspective of the player playing the game, this is such a mistake because she's such an asset.
Stevens fans talking about how it's cathartic that he called Lav a dumb bitch. Everything that men hate about women was her. She was painted as the evil woman. Before I knew her, I hated her because she represented everything that I hate about women. He has moments where he says exactly what I'm thinking. Lav says, I didn't mean to shit talk about you. Just level with Max and find middle ground. And Steven's response is, a shit ton of smiley faces.
Steven is one of the most passive-aggressive people that I've ever read about. I once had a TA, teacher's assistant, in a psychology class say that, okay, well, men are more aggressive than women, but we're trying to make studies to show how women's passive aggression makes up for men's aggression.
This is Smeth's report on the Destiny report. Now, I understand that maybe you don't know what that is too. So, Mr. Girl, if you don't know who that is, we got a lot to talk about. But Mr. Girl put out an article about Destiny, explaining why Mr. Girl thinks that Destiny is abusive, with a lot of quotes from streams and a lot of like recapping of past events and showing how there is a pattern of behavior of alleged abuse throughout his time streaming. And it has not been well received, I would say, in the Twitch politics space. I don't think anybody, including Mr. Girl, particularly expected it to be really well received. However, at least not like from like Destiny viewers and people in Twitch poll. And Smeth brought it up pretty early in this, though. Most people haven't actually engaged with the contents of the Destiny report. This was something that was originally like referred to as an article, and it ended up being like over 100,000 words. I attempted to read it in one stream, and we went for like over 4 hours, and it was like, okay, we got to call it a day, because it was a lot to read, a lot to read. And so Smeth is a fellow Mr. Girl orbiter, and he put this together, and he's talked about it for a while. This is sort of his take on the contents of the Destiny report. And I've been pretty excited about it, and he's done such a good job in his like visual presentation of the things that he has like going for us to look at while he's reading it and the conversation he has about it. And the audio is like out of this world. It's kind of hard for me to like comment on some of the things that he's saying because I'm just sort of like getting his takes on this unless something like really egregious happens. But like I feel like there's so much to say about the audio and the stuff he's putting on the screen. Really, really impressed by it. And then at the end, I'm kind of just going to go over what I thought about the video. But if there's anything like major that I have like an issue with or think is amazing, I usually just pause it and talk about it.
My counter to that is that men are extremely passive aggressive, and this is not inconsistent with my thoughts on that.
He does the smileys in response to her opening up a conversation about her emotional experience, blah, blah, blah. He does the smileys to get her to dump more. Goes down, more smileys. It's literally the same number of smileys, so I'm assuming he copied and pasted it. And then here, more smileys, except this time he's like, gotta add extra. So it's a little bit like spicier. It's more smiley than the last smiley. All right, let's see, wait, next page. Another smiley. He ends the conversation with a smiley.
This is poetic.
Yeah. You start from the same place you went, just like a song.
Oh my gosh, I gotta go and read all this out loud. Gotta do something for the stream there. What are all these messages like text in Discord? Yeah, it's a collection of like DMs essentially that have been handed over to Mr. Girl, and then he sort of presents. Well, some of these are DMs, I believe. Yeah, these right now are DMs, but some of the things are quotes that like were pulled from streams too. When I was reading this with my buddy Benny, I said that it was like a novelization of the streams that I had watched over the last few years of my life, which kind of had like a cool vibe in and of itself, despite the fact that they were of like pretty terrible things. And there, I have to confess that reading it definitely gives a different perspective of the events than when I had watched them. I'll give him a second to see if he's going to read these out loud, or if this is just for me to read. Okay, I think it's for me to read. So, Lab says, I'm not going to be another girl that cries in your stream. Holy shit. So I think when I talked to you about you calling me a dumb bitch, it really hurt because I felt like not only was your community painting me in that way, but you, who knows me personally, is saying these things to me and affirming that it's true, that I am just a stupid dumb bitch who knows nothing, which hurts more when you say it because you know me better than your community. And then because your community knows that you know me better, they're like, oh, okay, or okay, it's the open season basically, because Steven is telling us that it's okay to do this. That hurts me a lot. So then I had to be like, okay, well, I don't want to change Steven's mind because I think what he's feeling is valid, but I might just have to take myself out of the equation because I can't handle this. Whereas Max was like, well, I can change his mind. I can change him. I was just like, I think it's just healthier for me if I don't involve myself in this, or just like cool it down. I've been trying not to give you too much shit because I know that Max is giving you a lot, and I know that your audience is giving you a lot, and I know that obviously the whole Nick stuff or whatever. I don't know, so I've been trying to give you space, but then
He's signaling to his fans that it's open season. He's setting them loose on her. She's describing it in this massive chunk of text in intimate detail, and his response is, but you've been shitting on me.
Max should not have been...
How would you feel if...
Max should not have been convincing her to keep going on Destiny's stream. He is right to blame himself. Huh?
How would you feel if you were Steven and Leah has a conversation with Max talking about how much you suck? How should you feel and how would you feel?
It's like you're transforming Steven into a different person. And at that point, I would feel like I'd done something wrong and like I want to reach out to them and repair the relationship.
The fact that Leah was concerned about this coming out because she thought it would make her look bad is evidence of how much of a stranglehold that Steven had on her mind. Leah says, hey, I'd like to talk to you off stream. I don't want to stress you out. Doesn't need to happen immediately, just whenever you have a free night. Steven, yeah, sure thing. I'm free tonight or tomorrow night if you want, matey. And at first, this kind of seems like he's doing the right thing, being open and receptive, but the only reason he's doing that is because she's sucking up. Another fucking smiley face.
That was criticizing Steven in DMs.
No, I hate you. I hate that you just said that. I'm sorry, I don't hate you. It's not about content. Okay. So I've noticed this repeat pattern that he even did to me personally, where he makes it incredibly ambiguous as to how he feels about you, so that you're constantly wondering if he hates you or if he loves you, and you have to constantly like kind of seek out his affection.
And spontaneously
So why
joins
are you
Destiny's
here,
stream
Lab?
to confront
Because
Lab.
last I checked, you were taking a break until the 3rd. But is that meaningless like everything else you post or not? I don't know what to believe with you anymore. Is it all bullshit? Nothing matters. You just lie to everyone.
This is something that particularly bothers me. The only reason to be upset with Lab for changing her mind about taking a break is for her own well-being. Dan has no concern for her well-being. Instead, he is weaponizing her mental health to malign her and humiliate her by calling her a liar and to bully her off the internet. This sounds about right. Seems like a fair interpretation.
This is stupid, but This is a hot take, but I'm absolutely fucking right. If you think that Mozart is not better than most of the other great composers, you're a retard, because he had all of them to stand on, because he's the most modern of all the great composers. So he had all of their lessons to learn from. If you think Mozart isn't better than them for that, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
I like Bach.
This is my invention. And let me tell you, toilet training them? Nightmare. Both times. They just didn't want to use the commode.
Oh, yeah, that's the way.
It's a good scene from Better Call Saul.
Max?
Oh shit. I think there's a single thing I could have done differently.
Max says to Destiny, "This is what I'm talking about. When there's interpersonal conflict, like with Stardust, okay, I'm having a big fight with Stardust. On my stream, Stardust is not defined as a
Hot take that's wrong, in my humble opinion. Wait, mine or his? When I said Bach, or his saying about Mozart?
crazy, mentally ill psychopath. There's no dog pile. There's no Stardust as a terrible person. There's no, she's an insane, crazy stalker who can't let this go. I don't talk about her that way, and my community doesn't talk about her that way." The conversation goes on, and Max and Leah try to convince her, try to explain this foreign concept to Steven. Max says, "What Lav is saying is that there doesn't have to be an explanation that either you or Anna is a mentally ill, terrible person." Steven, "There needs to be, because if both sides are making strong claims, blah blah fuck you." No, there doesn't.
Okay, this is, I think, my first real criticism of this video. He's saying something that's really important, but the song that's happening in the background has such interesting gaps in the beat that it's hard to pay attention to what he's saying because I'm trying to figure out this song. I actually have to go back now and hear what he was saying because the gaps in the bass really just have me like anticipating what's gonna happen next. Because the first I don't even know what you call it. The first the first couple like beats that you hear of it were really good, and it caught me in, and I was just like, oh. And then it did meet my expectation of when like it was gonna happen again, and so I've just been paying attention to the song, not on purpose.
What Lav is saying is that there doesn't have to be an explanation that either you or Anna is a mentally ill, terrible person. Steven, there needs to be, because if both sides are making strong claims, blah blah fuck you. No, there doesn't. So Steven has admitted that if you make big claims about him, he feels obligated to make big claims about you, to dismiss whatever big claim it is that you're saying. He can't just dismiss your claim. If you're making a big claim about him, he needs to say that you're a terrible, awful person, because one of us has got to be a fucking awful person, and that's you, it's not me. Abba admitted that he's addicted to hate watching Lav. Bruv, I'm bonding with the other nerds in chat because of how much we hate a particular person. It's so addictive. I was just sitting here being like, man, remember when you called her a dumb bitch? And then I understood the viewer's experience. And I was like, I understand why they all got so hard off of that. Steven says things like, hold on, just be careful. Wait, hold on, Lav. Be careful that you don't talk about things you're totally clueless about. Her talking about, her experience with him, and he's threatening her like, don't you fucking talk about that. You know who has the power here. So much of this stuff seems just so obvious, and I feel like I have to go over every single fucking thing for these retards that won't even read this shit. For example, Destiny defending himself. Steven says, because the way you phrase things is incredibly one-sided. Let me show you, okay? Let me help you. Let me demonstrate there's two.
I feel like one of the best ways to show that Destiny is not receptive towards criticism is watching him react to Brittany Simon talking about Sneeko. That's probably the most like unhinged and childish I've ever seen Destiny behave. It was actually fucking nuts.
Two ways I could phrase something. Okay, here we go. I
That was
don't
after
think
the
that you should
report.
be friends with Sam because it seems like you need a certain level of emotional care or emotional support that Sam is either unwilling or unable to provide. So you should find someone different. That's one way I could say it. This is what you said, okay? I'm not going to teach Sam how to treat me like a normal human. I'm not going to teach him how to treat me politely or respectfully. That's what you were saying. Okay. Stephen asked the audience to find the clip in question, which they did, and played it back. In the recording, Lab said, I'm less interested in teaching him how to treat me and more interested in having relationships with people who already know how to respect me. Okay. Stephen, it kind of makes me sound like I'm disrespectful. I think that's the takeaway there. Yeah, it does make it sound like you're disrespectful. Are people not allowed to think you're disrespectful and not want to be friends with you because they think you're disrespectful? Or else you're gonna fucking shit on them on your fucking stream? Makes you seem a little bit disrespectful. I just realized that Destiny said he doesn't want to infantilize Anna, and that justifies a lot of his treatment. And he also has the position that he needs to placate her and he needs to sext her and pretend to be friends with her so that he can control her. You shouldn't infantilize her, but he's like truly treating her like his child.
Now I feel about that phrasing. And you have the sexting in.
What? The screen is on, you retard. Oh, okay.
One second. My wife went to go drop something at the blue mailbox. I just wanted to check on her. I have not full-blown OCD, but I have obsessive impulsive tendencies, and I always think that I often have thoughts that people are hurt or in bad situations for no reason, and those thoughts can be very convincing. So I like to check in. Oh, she's just about home. So I was having one of those moments.
So basically, Steven's like a debater, right? So he's like, no, none of this is happening, and I don't care what you think, and Steven interjects. Hold on, just be careful. Wait, hold on, Lav. Be careful that you don't talk about things you're totally clueless about. I never said that. Of course I see what's happening, and of course I know what's happening. There's a lot of people typing bad things about him on the sub, and now he's got banned, so he can't even defend. I know what's happening. I've never denied that. Just saying. Good. Her criticism is that whenever people give him criticism, he tells them that they're wrong and denies it because he's a debater, and she gives him this criticism, and then his response is to say, no, you're wrong, and totally deny it. The only context that I'm seeing that he actually accepts or acknowledges criticism is to dispel other criticism. So now he's saying, of course I understand, of course I'll admit this, and then he'd say it in a condescending voice, only in order to dismiss what she's saying, but never in order to actually address the criticism levied on him. Steven says, I hope you enjoy it for the next 5 years, and you want to kill yourself when you start to age and you realize looks are all you've got, Lav. Lav joked back, I want to kill myself now. Everyone's fucking jealous of Lav, including me. How much she was able to gain by selling her body and relying on her looks for networking and access and just fucking selling nudes, shit like that. Everybody just hates her for it, and I mean, I get that. I resent that. I can't do that. I don't have access to that. I think that's a natural response a lot of men have to her. Obviously, he's lashing out because he resents that she's able to do that, and he can't. That's why she has this push and pull, because it gives her so much benefit and it also ruins her life. Once you express that natural male resentment that people are having to her live to your audience, you're telling all your audience that I know that you all fucking hate this and you all resent this, so just here you go, like, this is your target. At least have some humility or self-awareness when you say that, because just throwing it out there without any consideration to how you're painting her is pretty awful. So much of this laugh stuff is really benign. It's just so fucking much of it. I really wish it was as concise as the Anna section. It's just so much to read. It's full of what you could call microaggressions, or it shows a pattern of behavior, but it's just so fucking much. I think that Max wanted to get everything out in the air. He considers her his daughter, whatever the fuck, but there's so much.
Another funny scene to
Abba
pop in there when he
is
says
arguing
that.
with Lav about Judaism and Jews, saying that he wishes that people could criticize Jews and acknowledge that Jews are disproportionately wealthy without being called a bigot, and Lav's fighting back.
Yes, lady?
Back saying you have to be careful.
I agree with Anna, and I wasn't sure why.
Okay,
in this
now I
report.
see why that was included. Because after that, Lav receives a DM from Steven's main Discord mod, Ritbalal, who has the power to ban anyone from his server. Blah blah. Yeah, well, fucking know what a Discord mod can do. He says, just because Destiny is being anti-confrontational beta doesn't mean you can just drop shit like that when we both know you don't fucking mean it. I see right through you, and you pull some shit like that again, I will do it if Destiny won't. He attached a screenshot of a filled out ban form ready to boot Lav for an hour with the click of a button. The reason for the ban was included weaponizing her Jewishness to be racist towards the black members of the community. Okay. So this goes to show the overall claim being made about Destiny, where his behavior and treatment of people on his stream mobilize and make his community aggressive and vitriolic. Like, this isn't just a random member of his community, some fringe member. It's the head mod of his Discord who wants to, you know, punish Lav.
Oh, shoot.
Earlier to this, I remember Abba and Destiny joking about Lav's sexual assault on stream.
I just realized I never shrunk that back. There we go.
Seems like there are no boundaries, nothing is off limits with Lav. You can mock her for literally anything, where for most people it would be completely unacceptable, but
I love the
Destiny
mama
himself has
hat.
crossed all of these boundaries on his very own stream, or at least allowed it to happen on his stream without any pushback. So his fans have the impression that there is no lengths to which you can go to humiliate her, and that's pretty evident in how people treat her. November 7th, Lav and I, Max, did a stream together that was supposed to be about misogyny, but quickly turned into a heart-to-heart about what we'd experienced during our time in Destiny World. After that stream, Lav DMs Anna. They agree to keep their conversation about Steven between them. Lav says that she's reaching out to figure out what's going on between her and Steven. She says that she's realizing that Steven has had sex with most of his orbiter females. And she's saying that now he's sicking his audience on her. She says, because now he's actively like abusing me on stream and letting his community abuse me. And I'm realizing he's just doing this to every woman who comes in. Even Melina spoke up about hating me. Weirdest scenario. Anna responds, I came to realize that too, and it saddened me. But yeah, pretty much his female orbiters he's sexting with or had sexual relationships with. I think Erudite might be the only exception, but I know he wants to hook up with her. I know him well at this point. Let's just say, lol. I'm sorry you're going through this. You're not the only one.
I know pretty much most of them, I think, but I've been around a while, and Steven and I still sext. But I do wonder if he shits on me to people behind my back. Like you, for example, because he kinda shit on you to me privately. Please don't say anything, though. Lav says, I'm sorry, what? You still sext? We never stopped. What the fuck? Anna says, I know, it's unhealthy. Holy shit. I probably shouldn't, lol. He keeps trying to plan for us to hang out and stuff, too. No, you absolutely shouldn't. He's still calling you a stalker. What? What the fuck? What did he say about me? Oh god, he's really a two-faced liar. Great. What the actual fuck? Anna says, yeah, I figured if he does this to you, he's probably doing it to me. He was saying that it's enjoyable watching other people shit on you. He was kinda laughing about it. I'm sorry, I always defend you. Anna says, later on, I'm gonna be honest, it's gonna be extremely hurtful to hear that he's still shitting on me in private. Because he's so sweet to me all the time, and convinces me that he's always defending me.
Earlier at the library, I read this deal Stephen made with Anna on air after telling her how he was making thousands off of her suffering and agony. Stephen said if she can go 6 months without talking about him, he will take down all of his videos about her and retract his statements about her being a stalker. As far as I'm aware, the most Destiny had done for Anna's reputation before the Destiny report was published was to say that her behavior was the result of OCD, that it is irresponsible for anyone to engage with her whatsoever. I never heard Destiny defend Anna. I've only seen him scold people with criticism for his treatment of her and send her too fast, and send his community elsewhere to discuss her, like Kiwi Farms. Since the Destiny report was published, I've heard him say that him and Anna are cool many times in a way that has successfully encouraged his community to show her some respect. Good on him, but I don't see why he couldn't do that until now. Can't imagine getting intimate or even erect with a woman whom I've allowed my audience of over 100,000 to believe is an insane
Anna says, I mean, he's admitted to me many times. He's a selfish person and he does what he wants. He's not hurting for sure. I mean, you know he can't feel love, right? Did he tell you that? He really doesn't feel much. Lav says, I don't think it's that hard to prove. If the public knew you guys were still sexting, Jesus Christ. Lav clarifies about Anna being still called a stalker. I brought you up on the panel a week ago bringing up his interpersonal problems and the subreddit went insane. He did nothing. Stalker. Abusive. He said it publicly that you made his life hell. How the hell did I abuse him, LMAO? You didn't. He's just has to be the good guy. I'm sorry. I'm like spiraling right now. Anna. He made my life a living hell actually. It's okay. I was suicidal from all the hate and harassment, to be honest. Anna and Lav are talking about reaching out to other people. Lav says, I think I'm going to talk to Cherry. Anna says, oh god, don't. Anna is warning Lav that this isn't going to go well for her. She says that most of DGG acts like sociopaths, and even though it might look bad to other people, it certainly won't look bad to them. They're having this emotional back and forth, and there's this constant need to warn people against reaching out or having any of these discussions. Anna, did you know he threatened to leak my nude pics and nobody cared? I even have the screenshot. Lav's talking to Max about how
she feels like she's doing something wrong, or she's been confused, or she is confusing Max, or Max is manipulating her one way or the other. She is going between feeling angry and wanting to say something, then immediately feeling sad and feeling like she made it all up. Steven's reviewing the stream between Max and Leah, where they cried. He asks if Melina's watching, and she says that she is, so he's like, oh, never mind, I'm not going to say what I wanted to. I don't want to give away my abuser tactics. Goaded on by his audience, he decided to explain the tactic, one where you plant the idea in someone's head and then immediately disown the idea. He claimed to have stopped doing this back in his 20s, but I believe he still does it all the time. That's coming from the narrator, Max Carson. I would have no problem telling to my girlfriend something I used to do in my 20s if I was not still doing it. Destiny's explaining his manipulation tactic, drawing a diagram on MS Paint. If you want to be really manipulative, the real goal is to have them emotionally roped in enough that you get them right here at the threshold of agreement.
The real goal is to have them emotionally roped in enough that you get them right here. And as soon as you know you've got them, you pull back completely, and then you go hands off, and then you let them argue the rest of the way so that they feel like they're the ones that are moving themselves this way, and it lets you remove all responsibility from the decision later. He might not be doing that, by the way. I might just be, that was all bullshit that I said, and none of that meant anything, and I'm just a memer. But that's kind of what it felt like. But
Good, how are you? I've got a boyfriend. I'm taking footage from my boyfriend.
Oh, you got a boyfriend?
He makes YouTube videos. I'm getting some B-roll for him.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got a boyfriend?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay.
I'll get it up.
It's all right. Happy 4th of July.
For the whole fucking time, I was so shocked that everybody was so fixated on Lav and not Max. Even while there was this dual narrative that he's manipulating her and she's just like a child adrift in a sea, unable to, she's no agency in the matter. Still, most of the conversations and vitriol was about her. And that makes a lot of sense because it's easier to attack her because she slips up more. She's way more impulsive. She's not as calculated or careful as Max. We're watching everybody collapse on Lav and collapse on Mr. Girl. While that is something to be spoken about in regards to how people in Destiny's orbit protect him, I'm more interested in seeing exactly how Destiny himself responds to it and talks about it than I am at relitigating every single fucking thing. Like fucking not so aerodynamic.
I kind of wish that there were timestamps on some of these scenes, so I know like where we're at in like sort of like the timeline of public things happening in response to the report. When Smeth saying this particularly, he said he's interested in hearing what Destiny has to say about it, but like I have like a vague window of understanding of like when this is. I think that would have been kind of really cool to have.
Fucking irrelevant, like all these fucking people, they're not Destiny. They're not like threatening to leak people's nudes in retaliation and stuff. They're just part of the drama and the culture, and they're just doing what makes sense to them in the moment.
Even if you think that, even if you're on Destiny's side completely, and you think Anna is awful to him and all that, you should condemn the blackmail with nudes thing. That's pretty crazy. That should always be. We should shame that always.
I think that there is a lot of incentives that make things confusing. So like I'm just not interested in that. Like I would do all the same things. It's just Max Carson says he wouldn't. Max was telling Anna and Lav when this came out that he thought that a lot of the orbiters would be on their side.
Yeah.
In DMs between Lav and Steven, Steven starts gaslighting her about the fact that he's gaslighting her, saying that he's not. There's literally zero reason to message you, but I just have to let you know how profoundly fucking retarded you are to think that I am gaslighting you in a call that I have absolutely nothing to gain from. When it's retarded, absolutely has something to gain from discrediting her or trying to make her turn on Max, which is the context of the conversation they were having before this. Then he's like, stop using fucking psych terms. He's just trying to get her to stop saying the word gaslighting, because that's the only psych term going on here. He starts telling her how much of an effort that he made to be decent and how it's her fault, and he's angry and irked that it went sideways for her to come out with the idea that he's an abuser, to flip on everything on its head, and saying that he's mad at her for making the crying voice and all this insane shit. So just being upset and talking about it. Why is he even messaging her at all? Continuing the trend of gaslighting. I can't tell if you're lying, if Max poisoned your brain, or if you're honestly just way fucking dumber than I thought. But the framing you have on almost everything is fucking wrong. I told you a million times not to leak that fucking Hassan shit, and in your mind, it's because I was holding it over your head? I said not to because I knew there was no good evidence for it, and I knew you would get fucked for it. And now look at what's happening today. You are making yourself crazy by letting Max fucking program you. So he's like, yep, I did know this, and if it did come out, it would have made you look really bad, and that's what I was telling you. I was telling you that I knew this secret that would make you look really bad. It's not me, it's you. You're gaslighting yourself. You're making yourself crazy. You're getting reprogrammed by this other person that's telling you all this shit. If I wanted to fucking destroy you, I could literally just leak a recording of you calling me the N-word from 2 nights ago. In that combo, you said I was gaslighting you. Just to add on to the pile. I have no idea why you think I'm so vindictive against you when I could be so much worse. So now he's gaslighting, but it's not working, so he's moving to threats.
Yeah.
How am I sick? Destiny says. Lav, you're literally threatening me now. Steven, I'm literally the only honest person in this disgusting fucking world of losers and narcissists and crazy people. How am I threatening you? Doesn't sound like something a gaslighter would say, does it? Are you actually insane? Lav, what the fuck do you think this is? Lav linked to Steven's previous message about leaking a recording of her recent call. Also, did you record that fucking call? Steven, it's me pointing out that if I were actually an abuser or a gaslighter or whatever, there are a billion other things I could do to hurt you. This is all stemmed from subreddit posts. Subreddit posts. I mean, obviously, that's not the fight. It's not from the. She's talking about their fucking relationship. He's talking about threats he's making in this conversation. He's talking about him gaslighting her in this conversation. And he's saying, no, I'm not gaslighting you. It's about subreddit posts, so whatever. Lav, Steven, no, it didn't just stem from those. Steven, it absolutely did. Well, subreddit posts and then Max programming. Continuing the gaslighting, the conversation continues. Lav says, did you record that call? Once again, Steven says, I enjoy conflict and stuff, yeah, but not generally this level of backstabbing. And it's usually by people I didn't like much, or didn't open up to personally.
Whoa.
Didn't open up to personally.
He's clearly hurt by all this. I think he was fighting with Lav to try to fix it, but he's going about it 100% completely wrong.
Lav, you just threatened me with... Lav started a voice call, but Steven didn't answer. Steven, do you really think I threatened you with it? I'm not talking to you right now, lol. Lav, you're literally talking to me right now. Steven, I'm typing to you. Lav continues asking him to call so they can talk about it. Steven, I'm doing work stuff. I don't want to get roped into a huge call. Lav, I don't care. Steven, I prefer the text anyway, so you can't say I'm gaslighting you. Well, I'm saying it. And I can. Lav, record the call. Steven, I'm so curious. When Max left that call with his integrity intact, or whatever the fuck, Why do you think he was scared to say a single thing when we were all three on the call? He wasn't scared, he didn't know how to fucking approach you. You're a hard person to approach. Steven, I'm not at all. I'm a super easy person to approach. What do you mean? He's the most receptive to criticism, most easy to approach, most easy to talk to person in the world. Lav, anytime someone is vulnerable around you, you start to make fun of them or say they're wrong. Holy fuck. Steven, is this just you making shit up? Not gaslighting, by the way. Are you just used to never having anyone push back on you ever? Is that what's happening? Damn, this conversation goes on for a while. Okay, so I had been losing steam regarding this fucking article. Making friends, streaming, and talking to people. And I'm starting to think that maybe it's just not that big a deal. I mean, like, DMs where he's gaslighting someone. Gaslighting isn't against any rules, it's just shitty to do. And I'm sure I'd do it sometimes. And maybe I'm misreading and maybe he wasn't gaslighting. Just kind of not caring as much as time goes by. Last night, though, Leah, Lavloon, Femoid, whatever the fuck you want to call her, she was talking to R Relevant, and Steven, who had threatened her in DMs that he was going to stalk her and go onto every single panel that she goes on that he possibly can. He said he thinks it's hilarious and he's never going to stop. And last night he does it, and it's just so blatantly awful. And all of my energy going into this, reading this report, is now restored. All my doubts are now eliminated.
Steven, I do not feel comfortable with you here.
It's
I
pretty
do not want
fucked.
to talk to you.
Oh, that's okay.
Will you please leave?
No, I'm good.
When I saw this, I was like, I had a hard time grasping that like he was actually doing it. It just seemed like so. This seemed like such an easy target for somebody who didn't like Destiny to point out and show like really clear demonstration of him being like pretty fucked up, and like this is a pretty in the context of everything else. If you're like on the fence, I would say this is pretty it's pretty fucked up. I think if anybody who's on the fence watched this stream, they probably would have come off the fence saying like, yeah, he's fucked up. And just to be clear, I'm not like I don't hate Destiny. I still probably watch more Destiny content than anybody else's. I like his content. I don't think I like him much as a person, but I don't really go out of my way to like shit on him or anything like that. I think the things that are brought up in the report are a big problem. It doesn't make me hate him. It doesn't make me say that he's a terrible person, but I think he's got some big issues that he needs to work on. And like, who doesn't? He just happens that it just happens to be that the issues that he has to work on are pretty bad for the people that have to take the brunt of it. So I guess I would be like supportive of him like making some changes there. Like I'm even okay with him being like shitty to people that he's debating and stuff. That's some of the most entertaining parts. That's part of the show. But this kind of thing is this was bad and cringy. This is pretty bad.
Steven, you are the most pathetic loser I've ever met in my life, and I feel bad for you.
Really? I
Yes.
feel like that award would go to Connor, but
So he jumps on and he totally derails the conversation. He tells Relly that he doesn't want him to be letting her ramble as if he owns Relly. Relly looked incredibly uncomfortable, he didn't think that he was letting her ramble. Then he like eventually kind of was like, well, I guess, you know, I guess I kind of see his point. I have nothing but respect for Relly.
Yeah.
How relevant. I wouldn't want to be in that fucking position. He mentioned Connor, Leah's husband.
Irrelevant did a pretty good job of standing up to Destiny, at least initially. I think maybe something happened after after when him and Destiny got it like engaged about it. I don't really know. I think that maybe he backtracked a bit. He was just like, no man, this is my show and I'm gonna do how I want to do it. I think he even, and I might be wrong, but I think he even encouraged Destiny to leave without just being like, hey, get the fuck out. I thought Irrelevant did a really maybe better than almost anybody else has in dealing with the two of them at the same time.
And every time that he's mentioned makes his life and Leah's life worse. You know, like just real world implications. He obviously knows this. It's been talked about. I think a lot of the viewers think it's fun, it's part of the game. Sometimes he'll bring up Connor and then be like, you know, under his breath, like, yeah, guys, don't do it, guys, which is a clip I'm gonna show.
Oh, hold on. Let me get my dumbass fucking wallet out. Oh, look at me. Using a wallet like a dumbass.
True.
You ever get embarrassed when the ladies look at you in line and like, ooh, the trifold. Don't be this guy. Be this guy. Get a with a low cost of only $75, you can have 2 solid pieces of
Titanium.
carbon fiber and or
Oh, shit.
titanium alloy
True.
stripped together using highly elastic and flexible bands that allow you to take your cards out in style. It's very minimalistic, it's very sexy, and it's very cool. It's the...
Don't hit him like that, guys. Not good.
this way, and it lets you remove all responsibility from the decision later.
He's setting such a horrible example. You know, shit like defending doxing the other day to Wick. We're just saying, I don't care, doxing's fine. She's not making allegations of rape or anything. She's making allegations of the...
When I pointed out to Destiny that because of the discourse that he had, like his overnight change in his position about Mr. Girl, and then now suddenly accusing him of being a rapist over a story that Destiny thought was pretty permissible prior. I informed him. I didn't even want to say it on air because I didn't want anybody to go and look up the docs. So I DM'd him and said that some of his fans have decided to dox Mr. Girl after he had that position. And he told me straight up, I don't care. This is something that I previously didn't say because I didn't really want my name out there, but since my fucking name's out there now, it is what it is. In that same conversation that I had with Destiny, he gave me example for some part of an argument that we were having, and he talked about a person in his hypothetical who was like being ostracized from the group, and like the target in this hypothetical name was Jamie, which most everybody knows now is my name. And I thought this could be a coincidence. It's a very odd choice of name to use. It's not a super common name. It's even less common if you're not talking about girl. So I thought it was very bizarre he used my name in the hypothetical in the conversation that we were having. And if you go back and watch the video where I was talking to him, you can see I have like a super strong reaction, like visibly on my face when he did that. It was pretty uncomfortable, and I thought it was I guess it was just like one of those moments where it was like, I wouldn't have expected this person to like do that. It was really weird. It was like it felt like a not like a threat, but sort of like a subliminal like, fucking watch yourself. Again, it could have been coincidence, but at least, very least in the moment, it definitely felt that way. So, yeah, I just wanted to add that to this part of it.
The very thing he's doing to stop her from making the allegations. So she's saying, he's stalking me, he's coming on here, he's directing harassment to my family, shit like that. And then his response to that, in order to silence her and to prove himself innocent, is to do that. Well, that thing is what the article is about. And I know that people are caught up on saying, yeah, but like if you call it abuse, then everybody's gonna think you mean like physical assault, like rape. No, dumb fuck. The abuse that is being discussed is this very harassment, enabling doxing, directing of his community, non-caring about the well-being of these orbiters, enjoyment of what they go through, the enjoyment in the vitriol, the retaliatory behavior. That is what this article is about. This article is not about rape. All this sexual contract shit, like Leah was sending feet pics or nudes or whatever, that was consensual. I mean, it's shitty to do. It's consensual though, it's not illegal, but it creates a toxic environment. The article is about that toxic environment and these toxic behaviors. So if you want to defend Destiny by saying, well, yeah, but he didn't rape people, and he's just defending himself. Yes, he didn't rape people, he didn't hit people, he is just defending himself. And the way he is defending himself is the thing that the article is fucking about. And I hadn't been seeing him do it for a while, so I had started to forget what that looked like, and I started to doubt myself. But now that I've seen it again, I'm pretty confident. This is horrible reading late.
I really like the kind of honesty that Smeth engages in. Like, this is a really good example of it, of where he's able to say like, I have even like I'm doubting myself. I'm doubting like all the work that I put into it. I think that a lot of people have stuff like that and they just don't talk about it. So it's always really nice that Smeth seems to be like a really, like the first person to like say the quiet thoughts out loud like that, and I always respect the fuck out of that.
So Steven is saying that he's reached out to her and that he did not know how she was doing. And she's saying, well, I was doing bad. He's saying, I just didn't know and I reached out and you said you were fine. At that point, I would say, oh shit, well, I didn't know. Well, that's awful. I didn't realize I was doing that to you. But that's not how this conversation is going. It's going more like, well, I didn't know, so fuck you. Now that you know, what are you gonna do? Steven's saying that, well, you're just taking all the shit that's on the sub and you're attributing it to me. That's not fair to me. She's like, well, how do I respond to it? And he says, I don't know, I don't care. You don't care about any of my facts. You have your own story in your head. Now, Steven says, it's so stupid, I just wanted to vent at you and let you hear my anger. Rather than telling her how stupid she is and how wrong she is for feeling the way she does and reacting the way she is, especially being the adult in the room, both by age and by power, the responsibility is a lot higher. Just talk about how you feel. Say, dude, you're fucking pissing me off with what you're doing. Rather than dismissing everything she says about herself, saying, no, you're wrong. I didn't know how you feel, so fuck you. Just be like, you're pissing me off. And why does everybody always speculate on how Steven feels and how hard it is to be Steven? He doesn't even talk about how he feels himself. Here, Lab says, I'm not streaming anymore. Why would I tell anyone? After Steven says, you're just gonna go on your stream tomorrow and tell everyone I was gaslighting you. I guess that's the type of thing where people are like, oh, see? Lav, lie. Live, lav, lie. Fucking liar. Said you're not streaming anymore. Are you a liar? Fortune cookie. Man has limited capacity to achieve goodness. Limited capacity. Steven tells her that she asked to come on and that she is responsible for herself. She's not doing a good job of protecting herself. She said that she asked him to protect her, and he's like, well, you didn't even ask me to protect you until this happened. And she's like, go figure, because that's when I started realizing I needed it. Leah says, you told me you weren't going to do that. You said I wasn't a kid, and you weren't going to protect me. You said the same thing to Max. Your moderators did not do a fucking thing, especially in the last 2 weeks. They made it worse. Steven, that's not a thing born out of malicious intent. I just can't baby people through my subreddit. The moderation doesn't work that way. The answer, if it's honestly too much, is to disengage. How is Destiny not responsible for the way that he paints the people that go on his platform? If I have people on my platform and I make them look crazy, and then my subreddit is full of people talking about how stupid they are and how crazy they are and how they're dumb bitches, how am I not responsible for that? If I make people out to be insane, if I make people look horrible, it is their responsibility to disengage? Or did I do something wrong? Steven, I can help someone who is spiraling. I can't help someone who is spiraling who, 1, refuses to tell me until it's too late, and 2, is constantly attacking me and trying to destroy me on the way down.
Oh, sorry.
Lav.
I was just sort of reading that to myself, which is not what I'm supposed to be doing here. He already said it's not his responsibility. He's just diverting blame by saying this. He is saying that he can't help someone unless they tell him before they need help. He is saying that he will not help someone who needs help as the result of his actions or if they criticize him.
Lav, you're trying to destroy me and Max. I don't think it's impossible to try to help someone who's spiraling because of being on my platform and how that's impacted them if they're attacking me while they're going down. If you have an impulsive need to retaliate and destroy them, or respond by throwing more mud back and forth because they're throwing mud, if that's a need that you have, then maybe it is impossible to help them. But if that's not a need that you have, it's utterly within your power to help them.
Don't get me wrong, sometimes I become too toxic to help people too, but I'm aware of it.
Someone called me out today.
Grow from it. I really think one of the best ways to gauge somebody's character is to see how they treat people who hurt them, especially right afterwards, how they engage with that. I think it takes a lot. And it speaks a lot to the kind of person you are. You're able to engage with somebody who hurt you or is currently hurting you, and to still have some kind of decorum and decency with how you treat them back. I'm not saying that it's good to let people walk all over you, but if you're still able to engage in a way that isn't awful back when somebody's awful to you, I think that a very good quality to have. I think it's hard to do, but I think that it's also more effective at fixing problems as well.
Hassan called me out today. His community went crazy. Then he says to cool it, and in 10 minutes everything about me was deleted and I've gotten 10 comments about it from his community. This guy who owes me nothing, in fact the opposite, really puts things into perspective. Why is it that Hassan has such a larger audience? He makes a lot more money, yet Destiny has a following where his audience needs to be moderated more than Hassan's, and yet Destiny is saying that people are being babies for asking him to moderate his community. He's saying, well, if you don't like how it goes, if you don't like what happens on my subreddit, if you don't like how you're being treated by my community, just don't engage. It seems to me that you fucking know that your community needs to be moderated more than Hassan's community. So why is it a surprise to you when people talk about your community like this? Steven has been telling Leah that Max is only being nice to her and helping her because he's trying to control her and manipulate her, and he's absorbed her into some Carsonist cult. So who is supposed to be nice to Leah? Because if you're being nice to her, then you're feeding into her delusions, you're manipulating her. She's being manipulated. The other day, Zonia said that the only 4 people who can responsibly platform Leah are her, Sick, Chud Logic, and Destiny. The 4 people who fucking hate her the most. People who only want to milk her for fucking content are the people that could responsibly platform her.
I like Zonia. I genuinely consider Zonia to be a friend, and I thought that was probably the dumbest thing I ever heard Zonia say. I understand why. Even if Zonia thought that, I think that was like a really that you don't say that. I think that if you actually think that, it ruins that message to anybody who wouldn't think that. Because what Smeth's saying is like super, super apparent as soon as you hear that. It's just like, oh, you think that? So essentially, the only responsible way to platform her is to have people who strongly dislike her, or as Smeth said, fucking hate her, platform her. Feels wrong.
So I guess we're redefining like being helpful or compassionate as cruelty. So if you are nice to Leah, you're an abuser, and if you're mean to her, then you're one of the good guys.
I gotta read this tweet, but also this has it's like a fat NES beat here. God damn it. Smith, let me find out that you wrote all the music for this. FYI, the reason Max and Lav aren't friends anymore is because Max started to feel strong sexual attraction towards Lav that Shaylin was uncomfortable with, which forced Max to write up a formal contract with Lav she ultimately felt was creepy and pushy, causing them to split ways. It took a bit longer than I thought it would, but my prediction was generally accurate. I'm sure that the next thing that's gonna be said here is how this isn't true at all, because this was not true at all. Not only is it not true, not a single part of it is true. We did not have a falling out. I did not start to have strong sexual attraction. Jayla and I have never discussed the imaginary attraction. I didn't write a formal contract or an informal contract. I have no idea what he's talking about. He has gotten angry at me plenty of times, but you know, family. It's possible Destiny thought it was true when he tweeted it. But I don't know. I think when he lies, sometimes he convinces himself he is telling the truth. Like when he calls me a rapist, he sounds sincere even though it makes no sense.
Leah had told him many times that she's done with him and doesn't want anything to do with his stream. His response to that, not liking that she's talking about it and talking about her feelings about it, is to do it more and talk about it more, tear her to bits. His response to that, not liking that
This is the devil's candy jar. Holy shit. I usually do this, but lady, look at this. This is where Smeth keeps his mints. It's a bowl with a bunch of push pins and mints. What? Oh.
I want one of those. I want to tea.
Ew.
As she's talking about it and talking about
And
how
push
her
pins?
feelings about it is to do it more and talk about it more, tear her to bits. It'd be fine if he was smaller than her to cover her like that. Like, who cares? She's powerless. Whatever he says to his audience goes, and that's what most people will think about her. He's gonna say whatever the fuck he wants, he's gonna make her look crazy, and that's what everybody's gonna agree on. And if you are a Destiny Orbiter, you're going to have a tremendous pressure to either not comment or to agree with him in order to maintain your professional relationships in your job.
For the record, that doesn't make it hard for people to hate her. She was biologically engineered
Max
to
is
their
telling
shit.
Leah a quote from a October 27th, 2022 stream where Abba told Steven he shouldn't platform mentally ill people, and Steven had countered that Lav and him, Max, are healthy adults who can make their own decisions. He reads that to make the point that later on, suddenly they're mentally ill, not healthy adults who cannot make their own decisions. Later on, he says, Steven and Lav had their sexual encounter on September 1st, and their falling out was November 10th. Additionally, Steven asked Lav to hang out during TwitchCon, writing to her on October 5th, just eating you out for an entire weekend. Babyface.
Kingster present.
This is a good time to point out a tactic Steven employs fairly often. Even though you can knock down his claims about the timeline pretty easily, by even engaging with it in the first place, you allow him to smuggle in the premise that the timeline is important to the point that Lav is making. In order to have sex with Lav, humiliate her, or both, Steven needs to define her as healthy enough to consent, but when Lav and Anna call him abusive, his defense is that they are mentally unwell. Why would it matter whether it was 1 month or 3 months, separating those events? Is he arguing that they lost their minds at some point? By shifting the argument to a timeline dispute, he evades Lav's criticism altogether. However, if you don't engage with the tangential dispute, then he gets to call you a liar, uncontested, which discredits your entire argument. Lav is streaming with Tuna Chip. He invites Zonia, Stardust, and Beckett on.
You should follow Tuna Chip on Twitch. The best content. I'm really happy that when Kim and Lav did their first stream together, I have the top clip there. It was so good out of context. Also, the stream that he's talking about, I almost fucking ruined that. I didn't understand what was going on. I'll see what they say about it, and maybe I'll comment further on that.
In the stream, Zonia told Lav, "We milk you for the lulz." Is it her? Is she just that milkable? Or is it how Destiny portrays her and the fact that his community hates her?
Probably both.
She doesn't get milked by the trans Twitter activists even. She says crazy transphobic shit on Twitter and they get fucking pissed off. They have fucking Twitter wars, but they don't milk her. They just get pissed and they move on. At that point, Steven had finished his own stream and asked Stardust to bring him in to their current Discord call. Everyone except Lav agreed to add Steven to the call. Lav only said, wait, excuse me? And he was added. Steven, joining the call? Okay, just a random timeline question. Lav says, when was the last time I spoke about you? Steven, constantly. You don't think I get DMs leaking of you talking shit about me? Lav, name another time. Steven, you do it in private Discords all the time. Lav, where? Name another time. Steven, do you want to listen to the audio recordings I have of you talking about me in multiple fucking rooms? Lav, why are you pretending that Yeah, substantiate it. Send it to me in DMs. Substantiate. Steven, no, I'm not going to tell you what my source is.
Fair enough, but why is Lab not allowed to talk about Steven? Oh, fair enough, but why is Lab not allowed to talk about Steven in private calls? Is the claim that she is spreading rumors about him? As is documented in this report, Steven has no problem talking shit about people in private and sharing private details about them. Sometimes it even surfaces, like when Dan read that letter to Anna on Destiny's stream.
Steven, do you want me to repeat what you said about him, and then you can tell me if it's a lie or not? Or why don't you guys just stop talking about me publicly, right? You've leaked every single little lav. Or you will...
He has shifted from privately to public.
Threatening me. Steven. Oh, so now I'm threatening you like the fake blackmail before. You've already leaked everything about our fucking personal relationship. Do you understand that? Lav. Steven, you just publicly threatened me. Steven, you just publicly threatened me with a fucking lie. Steven. Oh my god. It's the loop again. It's the loop again. It's the loop again. I didn't threaten you with a lie. It's the truth and you know it. What the fuck is the loop? This wasn't a loop. She's calling you out and she's saying you threatened her, which you did. If you don't stop talking about me, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna talk about this on stream. It's a threat. She's looping for calling that out. So he threatened her with the truth. I guess he didn't deny it was a threat. You realize your entire existence online right now just revolves around threatening to out me as a Harvey Weinstein of Twitch, right? Lav. Have I ever threatened to out you? I'm not writing the fucking article. You're conflating what I'm doing with Max. Steven, you're the star witness on the article, Lav. Like 20%. Well, it's more than 20%.
Yeah.
To discredit Lav, Steven accuses her of being a drug addict. Steven, on Max's stream, you said these were the 2 worst times in your life. You never mentioned a benzo overdose. Actually, I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know. Sonia interrupts. Not overdose, detox. Steven, I don't even know if I knew you were ever detoxing from benzos, so that's not something, Lav. You knew that I was taking them because I took them when we were together. Steven, yeah, sometimes you take a Xanax. That doesn't necessarily mean you're taking so many that you're abusing them. Lav, I wasn't abusing them. Zonia, detoxing off of benzos can be rough, even if you're not using them. Lav, I wasn't abusing them. I was taking like a normal amount. But if, Steven, hold on, I'm sorry. I've never in my life heard someone refer to weaning off of medication as detoxing unless they're abusing them. My bad. Lav, no, it's a benzo. Detoxing is just getting off of it. Doesn't Steven take fucking Adderall and shit? People that take Adderall talk about detox.
I don't know what he takes, but I know he is experienced with drugs recreationally. Yeah. Just stopping taking a benzo prescription can have like really bad side effects. I seen like my ex-wife, for example, when she stopped taking them willingly, she had a prescription, and when she just decided to stop taking them, the first time I seen her in a like, which I didn't even think was that stressful, but it was a high stress situation for her. It didn't seem like it was that bad, but she was a little stressed, and then a bee flew by her, and she went to swat at the bee, and she just had a seizure from not having Xanax anymore. That shit's crazy. And like you can just be taking like a normal, not even like a high prescribed amount, like a normal prescribed amount. They're quite dangerous drugs in general. Like to take them and to get off of them.
Detoxing off of that and taking your break is detoxing. Dude, this is fucking accurate shit. What the like, I feel like he should know this. This is not... Maybe he's just stupid and this is a flippant, stupid mistake.
Possible.
Tuna chip. It's
Does
real in
sound
this
crazy.
instance. I mean, I work with addiction and people that are not using and that have to go through this procedure. Some people straight up just don't ever use benzos when they have a history of addiction because the come down can be a trigger to try to use again. So yeah, Sonia, I'm familiar with it because I have a close friend who's been trying to detox off of it. Steven, sure, that's fine. But it would be nice in the future if maybe you bring that up, because I don't think I've ever heard you bring that up as a reason why you were suicidal. You literally explicitly blame my community for it. Steven. You also have to understand that if I come out, I'm in a catch-22 where if I say, well, I was detoxing off of benzos, your whole community is just gonna be like, another excuse as to why she's so fucking crazy. Steven, let's just blame it on me for making you suicidal. So much better, thanks, Lav. True. Well, the alternative option which she could have, where she would be able to tell people, no, the reason I was so upset was because I was detoxing off of benzos, would be in a situation where the community would not be able to weaponize that up against her because it's moderated in such a way that the vulnerable people, the people detoxing off of benzos, are protected in your fucking community. I'm so bored of reading about people talking about if they're lying because they think the article is gonna come out in 2 weeks. There's so much fucking talking about nothing and trying to stop people from talking, and there's no real interesting conversation going on here. This is just so fucking boring. Do you think the article has no intent towards deplatforming Destiny or hurting his family? He's not fucking breaking the rules or TOS, and of course it's not fucking hurting his family. There's constantly these insinuations, and like, it sticks, and it still sticks, and it's like, they were all bullshit. Talking to Destiny's fucking family? No, he didn't fucking do that, and he never would, and it's just... it's just so mind-numbing and boring, and nobody ever gets to say anything.
There was a ton of criticism of Mr. Girl about things that he might have done in pursuit of this article that nobody ever substantiated. Like yeah, I think even Destiny has said things like, oh, I don't know if he's gonna try to reach out to like my family or like my exes or something like that, like something along those lines. And like people would like repeat those things, or I don't know if Destiny was the first one to say it, but like there was a lot of criticism of things that people supposed Mr. Grill might have done in pursuit of the article. Now, I'm not saying that what he did do in pursuit of the article was all like good and above board. I've had my criticisms too, but I think it's really, really bizarre if you have an issue with something to criticize things that you think might have happened with no like evidence to think that that would have happened.
And here's Shaylin, she's got something to say. She says, why are you contributing to that then? Why are you putting Lav on trial if you think there's an atmosphere here in which women speaking out about things puts them in the crosshairs? Then she says, I don't think you have her best interests at heart, but why don't you guys go ahead and explain to me why you guys are in a 4 or 5 person call against Lav about why you think she's fucking up here. Someone please explain this to me.
Later, Lav addresses
Lav,
Sonya.
we are on friendly terms, but no. That does not rewrite the fact that for 30 minutes earlier today you said that you're going to milk me because I was a lol cow and I was mentally ill. You were horrible. People say that you can make yourself a lol cow by behaving in a certain way. And I don't agree. I think that other people make you a lol cow by treating you a certain way and by milking you. And I think calling someone a lol cow is targeting them for harassment.
Probably
just because you do shitty things, or just because you look really weird and ugly, or you just are socially awkward and whatever. All these things don't make anyone deserve to be a lol cow.
It's funny that she says this, but I was like simping hard for her the entire time to my fans. I was telling them, I think Lav is actually really smart, and I think you guys should be less mean to her. But in her mind, apparently I was destroying her reputation. What an interesting take on that.
I had the same thought about you.
Shut up. Oh my God.
Listen, so basically you say all these nice things to me. This was like my paranoia. You had paranoia about me. This was my moment of paranoia, okay?
Yep.
So basically I see where she's coming from. This is why I'm team Lavloon / team Billie Eilish.
Oh, good.
Me, her, Billie Eilish, Girl Squad. Listen to this. Listen. So I felt like I didn't know you super well, and you would say all these nice things to me. You're like, Farwa is
Not
pretty
that nice.
smart.
Not that nice.
Farwa's pretty smart.
Yeah,
She's
I
pretty
said
cool.
you were okay.
You
Go
guys
ahead.
shouldn't be so Coomer brained, whatever.
Yep.
And then when the clip chips stuff happened, I saw you were like messaging your Discord, being like, I shouted at her, whatever. So and then I would be like, what's going on? Why is this happening? Are you mad at me? And you're like, no, I'm not mad at all. And then in this chat, you were like, I shouted at her. So I thought you wanted to send your fans after me, but still be friends with me. So I thought you just couldn't, you didn't have the balls to say it to my face that you were mad at me. Is that true?
Yeah, I would be so scared of telling you that I'm upset at you. Okay, are we done with this?
This is like right after he called me dumb bitch, and I was like, hey dude, like when you called me
Why'd
dumb
you
bitch, it
call
like
her
really
a dumb bitch?
Because she was being a dumb bitch.
Damn.
Opened up like a
She has a habit of interrupting people over and over again to make snide, cutting, sarcastic, and stupid remarks. And she did it like the 5th time for me, and I lost it. It was too much. I couldn't handle it.
Steven says to Lav, how about you send all of your logs to me then, if you're on a neutral side here? You said all of our logs to him, which, by the way, included a ton of personal information that I see you don't give a fuck about. Lav, I have literally nothing to hide. I'll send them to you. After the call, Steven tweeted out a screenshot of his DMs with Lav. Lav says, if you promise not to abuse me with these or paint me poorly or direct hate, I will send you the logs, but I'm scared. Steven, yeah, I promise, but I'm not holding my breath. So if we're going to criticize Max for the way that he obtained the logs from Anna, by saying, you know, I'm trying to protect people and I think it would be very helpful and I'm worried about Lav. That's what he did. Then this is not in the sake of protect. They're just saying, well, you sent them to him, so fuck you. You sent the logs to him because you think I'm abusive. So why don't you fucking send all your logs with him to me so I can prove that he's abusing you? And so she sent them, not thinking that Max is abusing her and trying to get help from Destiny, but because she felt bullied into it and she felt like she had a responsibility to, because Steven had convinced her that like this absurd fucking thing that she's supposed to fucking send her logs with Max to him. Okay, so a big part of this conversation, which I'm seeing right here, before the article is released, we're just going on and on about how the investigation is being conducted unethically and how it is being conducted for unethical reasons. The unethical reasons being Max's butt hurt, so he spent 6 months writing a report. Not because there's any abuse, and there is clear abuse in this article, nothing breaking any fucking rules, but this is abusive fucking behavior that should be pointed out.
Some people seem unwilling to engage with abuse as a spectrum and are attached to a black and white analysis. Yeah, I also think that it's extremely annoying that people, they take the stance that this is only because of Destiny and Mr. Girl having a falling out. There's this idea that if you have a falling out with somebody, the only reason why you could understand them differently afterwards is because you're upset about what happened. As though the idea that, okay, so like if I'm friends with somebody, or like even if like I was dating somebody, I'm gonna see them in a way that has like built-in protections from my internal criticisms of them. So like if I'm dating someone and I'm in love with them, there's going to be red flags and issues that my brain just sort of like auto fixes for me. There'll just be like justifications that if I like really thought about objectively and looked at, I would just go like, oh, this is actually like pretty bad. I'm really surprised that I wasn't able to see that when I was dating them because you kind of have those rose-colored glasses on. Same thing with friends too. You might have a friend who does shitty things, but like you have all this context that you think sort of like makes it like how you understand them as a person that makes it like okay. Like, well, yeah, but like it didn't mean it like that. But then if you see a certain side of them that negates that, you're like, oh, I was actually wrong about this person and why they do the things that they do. And that leads to a falling out. The thing that led to the falling out, the change in how you understand them to be, will then also inform other events that you had experienced when you look back at them and go, oh, knowing that they're this kind of person who does this kind of thing, that means that there was probably different motives in this event that I was just sort of writing off before. But it seems to go really in step with this new way I have of understanding them. Like that, I think that's a really common part of not being friends with somebody anymore, or not being close with somebody anymore, not having that sort of like automatic like fixing of bad things. And if you've never experienced that, then I would say that you're pretty lucky. But I've had that happen with a lot of people. Um, I don't think that I've ever had to like the desire to like go after them or anything for it. I don't think they were ever do anything like super bad, but I've seen like some shifts in how people behaved in a way that just sort of made me understand they're not the kind of person I thought they were. And with that new information, just reviewing old interactions made some pretty innocuous things seem like extremely fucked up. And I feel like that has to be a common experience, but everybody acts like that's not possible at all. That couldn't have happened here. But however, when Destiny says that's why he he feels justified in calling Mr. Girl a rapist after their immediately after they're falling out, like immediately. And his answer to me was like really shitty and bad. I thought it was like a really piss poor excuse, but it could have been accurate. I just don't think so. But that's like immediately accepted. That like this is fine by the same people who will say that the only reason this was written, the only possible way they could conceive that this was written was because Mr. Girl was butthurt over the subreddit and Nick Fuentes stuff. Just absurd to me.
I will do what I must.
That doesn't matter. It's just because he's butthurt. Max saying that he was himself a victim of abuse to people who he was reaching out to is not ideal. What is in here? There's not a lot of shit in here. Like, he didn't get much information by doing that in the first place. It just made him look horrible. I want to hear some testimony from people saying that they gave him information because he convinced them that Steven was abusive and now they realize that he's not. I don't think that's the case. Some people have taken back information saying, you know, I changed my mind about how I want you to use it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that they were manipulated by the way that he was conducting this investigation. Don't you think that Max was being manipulative? Don't you think that Max was butthurt and so he wrote this article because he's a fucking retarded butthurt moron? I don't know. I can read the article and I can talk about what's in it. I can't speak to his intentions. I don't think that the level of unefficacy discredits anything in the article at all.
Fuck you!
That's true.
Fuck you!
Does that mean you don't want to talk about this anymore? Or is that all you want to talk about is Max?
Understand.
Lav and Steven are arguing about her leaking private details about their sexual encounter to Big Tech. Big Tech asked her if they had had sex. Leah told him no, but if they had.
Big Tech, a Nazi streamer from Nick Fuentes' streaming platform Cozy TV, who is also responsible for ostracizing the mass reporting of Mr. Grill's YouTube channel that got him banned from the platform.
Had sex. Leah told him no, but he ate my pussy. Something like that. And this was in private. And then Big Tech leaked it to, I don't know who fucking know why, but he leaked it to be an asshole. That isn't Lav leaking it. If you got a problem with that, you got a problem with Big Tech. Maybe you can say she has poor judgment, but it's not her leaking it. It's like fundamentally not her leaking it. You can say she has poor judgment. Lav, you have horrible judgment. I should not trust you because you have horrible judgment. It's a very different thing from Lav, you leaked private information. Those are two very different claims, and one of them is 100% appropriate, and one of them is fucking not appropriate. Steven says, "You are abusive. Of course you were abusing me. You leveraged a fucking sexual relationship to hop on my stream, leaked details about it to make me look bad, and then tried to turn it around later on to pretend like I was abusing you. What do you mean, of course?" Okay. You leveraged a fucking sexual relationship to hop on my stream. That sentence implies that Steven knew and is agreeing that the reason that she got onto his stream was because of a sexual relationship. If you're the secretary of the president and you suck his dick, get a better job. Did you abuse the president? Or did he abuse you? I don't think there's even anything wrong with this perverse tit for tat. It just requires an immense amount of responsibility and boundaries, of which there are none. Everything is ambiguous so that at any corner, Steven can say, no, you were leveraging a sexual relationship to get on my stream, or he can say, we never had any type of agreement whatsoever, you're lying. So if you have a problem with what's going on, he's always the one, because he's completely in control of what his community, most of your community is his community. So he's completely in control of what everybody thinks of you and your entire reputation. So you are powerless and...
Hey, somebody liked the stream. Thank you.
Steven. No, hold on. I'm only saying stuff out of retaliation to her. I don't really pick fights like this with people because I don't drag personal relationships that I have through the mud. I don't know if I've ever done this ever unprovoked in my entire streaming career. Maybe I have once or twice in like 2013 because I was an asshole, probably. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you are retaliating. Steven says, yeah, I'm totally cool with that. Yeah, if she stopped talking to me, I'd stop talking about her. I have no reason to, yeah. I'm assuming he meant about me, because she has stopped talking to him at this point. The only reason that she ever talks to him is because he forces her to talk to him. Earlier, see here? He tells her to talk to her friends or talk to her therapist. But don't talk publicly about her, referring to when she talked to Max about her feelings. Yet, he'll tell her that people are coming to me and telling me shit that you're telling them, like, you're telling all this personal shit about me in private. That's because people will infiltrate her friend groups and their private Discord servers and shit, and then hear her say, oh, I didn't like his dick to her friends. And then they'll report back, oh, you know what I heard Leah said about your dick. So the only solution for her is to just get off the internet entirely and go fuck off. To hell with being a streamer. To hell with having friends online. Just disappear. Just disappear. Or you could just like stop. Then people that you like, you know, retaliate against are gonna hate you and talk about it with their friends, and people that you retaliate against are gonna have people from your community and go and infiltrate their Discord servers and report back to you, especially people that you harp on for months and months and months and months and months like this. So it's gonna keep happening. So yeah, either she can, you know, or stop doing anything on the internet, stop having friends on.
Was that? I'm not sure what the edit was. Maybe.
The internet. You're trying to bully her off the internet. Why don't you fucking get off the internet? If you can't handle the effect that you have on people, and this keeps happening to you and it makes you so sad, then why don't you get off the internet? Destiny hops onto another panel that Lav is on, and his chat has messages like, Destiny, keep bullying her. Go back to daddy, Max, bitch. She's scared. The bitch is gone. Make sure to join every panel with her and bully her out of these spaces. So now we got a section called Me and Destiny's Platforming of Nick Fuentes. He's got a political project. Now he's been in close rooms with Trump, close with Kanye, and he's all linked up. Fuentes is trying to get people to hate Jews. Max makes the point here. Since Fuentes is banned from all major platforms, a YouTube streamer who is willing to regularly feature him is an invaluable resource. People with a political project are dangerous to platform. That's basically the beginning and end of that whole conversation for me, and it's not nearly as nuanced and complicated as the overall conversation that this article is supposed to be having. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit on this Nick Fuentes shit.
So silly.
It looks like what was a simple conversation about the danger that a politician like Nick Fuentes might play and the risk of platforming them, giving them more power, has now turned into a conversation about specific rhetoric that he uses, specific styles of communication, but really the conversation was never intended to be about the way he talks. We're talking about comedians, we're talking about his use of irony, we're questioning whether or not he espouses or deals in conspiratorial thinking and conspiracies, where he absolutely has in the past, but now he has a layer of irony and he says it in a different way, and we're saying we can't prove that he's still saying that. I would say that the conversation has been made really stupid and annoying because Destiny doesn't want to engage with the actual criticism. Mr. Girl says, the question is, does Nick Fuentes engage in anti-Semitic conspiracies or traffic in them? Destiny says, yeah, I'd say no, but it would be based on what I've seen so far. My mind could be changed if someone sent me a clip on it, but as far as I've seen so far, no. Honestly, it's entirely possible. Until Mr. Girl brought this shit up, I did not even know that Fuentes was responsible or involved in the January 6th insurrection, riots, whatever. Maybe the reason I wasn't aware of it was because Destiny wasn't aware of it. But I'm sure people were telling him in this moment here. Destiny has agreed with Mr. Girl's premise that if he is dealing with anti-Semitic conspiracies or trafficking in them, then platforming him would be irresponsible. But he's not agreeing to that outright. Destiny is saying that if someone comes to me with this information, with some clips, then he will reconsider. It seems hard to get Destiny to actually ever reconsider. He'll give you a roadmap for how to give him criticism, and the way that you have to give him criticism allows him wiggle room. If you saw some clips, then you'd be like, well, this is taken out of context, it's just a clip, this is clip chimping. I mean, it probably would help, but it's just so hard to give Destiny criticism. It says here, a Destiny fan of at least a year, and not a fan of mine, referring to Max, wrote what is now the 15 most upvoted post in the past year. Destiny is incorrect. Nick Fuentes does outwardly meet his definition of a Nazi. Destiny's personal definition of Nazi, he explained on stream, had 3 core elements. 1. High level of conspiratorial anti-Semitism. 2. Institution or a desire to institute some sort of outward violence or state-sponsored violence against ethnic minorities or other undesirables. 3. Desire to build some form of a fascist state. And then it gives examples of stuff that Nick Fuentes has said. Stuff like math, unlike the Jewish media, does not lie. A bastardized Jewish subversion of the American creed. The founders never intended for America to be a refuge camp for non-white people. There's a lot of these. I don't want to really read all of them, but there's a lot. This is another full page of these quotes from Nick Fuentes. And then there's an edit here. This guy links more clips on Nick's claims of Jewish black magic and other crazy shit. Check him out in his comment here, and he links to the comment. And that was just evidence for the first qualifier for Nick Fuentes being a Nazi. Now into part 2 of Destiny's qualifiers for calling someone a Nazi. So we have a whole bunch more evidence. On the bottom of this page, we get to 3. Okay, let's see why this is included in the article. I'm guessing that this was removed from Destiny's subreddit. The type of criticism Destiny said would be the way to convince him that he is irresponsibly platforming a Nazi. It's massively upvoted, still the 15th most upvoted post on his subreddit as of when this was published. Yeah, and I see right here, it says, the author was permanently banned, and so was the top commenter. He always talks about how receptive to criticism he is. He told people how to give him criticism. He said that he may be irresponsibly platforming Nick Fuentes, and there is a way to engage with him to prove that to him. He received that, and the user was permanently banned. He just doesn't want that. These are comments on the post. The fact this post warrants a ban is horrid. Edit banned, woohoo, lick my nuts. And the top reply to that comment also caught a ban. Seriously though, that's really fucking bad. If posts like this are being banned, we need a mod purge pronto. Unless it's Destiny's banning them, in which case kick Destiny. And then that person edits it and said, I got banned too. Shout out to Copestiny. Here's one. Good post. It's really nice when someone makes a point and backs it up with solid and specific evidence. Unfortunately, I doubt it will change anything, since it seems as though Destiny cares more about not scaring off Nick's audience than being consistent on this issue. He has also mentioned not having that many right-wingers to talk to. Personally, I think he could probably still talk with Nick without being so uncomfortably friendly, uncomfortable for many of his viewers at least. But I suppose that's his decision to make, and ultimately we can only guess at the reasons he chooses to do what he does. Edit. Banned for this, presumably. Seems pretty fragile, to be honest. So now Max gets banned from YouTube after getting mass reported from Nick Fuentes' followers. Nick talks and complains to Destiny about how Max had talked about him. In those streams with Destiny, Destiny seemed extra cold towards Nick and was distancing himself from Nick. That to me says some level of the criticism got through. He just never admitted it, and he banned everybody that gave it. Max speaks to that right here. He says, Destiny wore my merch to show solidarity and said it was really sad to see my art destroyed. But I had this sinking feeling that he'd always wanted me to be his sickly exotic pet. He made a show of cutting ties with Fuentes over my banning, and I was touched by the gesture at the time. But it's more likely that Destiny distanced himself from Fuentes because I'd ruined the fun for his audience and he wanted to cut his losses. Yeah, I don't really agree that Destiny's completely dispassionate and has zero care for Max at all. at least in this moment. So a Mr. Girl fan is somebody who's willing to criticize Destiny. Anybody that's willing to criticize Destiny is the enemy. That's a clear trend. Or rather, anybody that's willing to criticize Destiny and stand their ground adamantly, despite Destiny saying that it's wrong, those people are the enemy. There can be weak, meek people that impotently crawl up to him and give him criticism, and then he dismisses them and tells them they're wrong, or maybe like, oh, maybe you're right about that. Okay, bye. But if you have a strong position, that makes you the enemy. Destiny is the type of guy who should be able to handle that. He is a very strong person. Why can't he figure that part out? Maybe it's because it's self-protective, so the way that he responds to criticism is also beneficial for him in the long run? Probably. Grand finale to this whole fucking saga. The No Jumper appearance with Nick Fuentes, Sneeko, Adam22, AD, and Flacco. I do have to admit the rabbit hole is real, because if it wasn't for you and Destiny being cordial enough to sit down with Nick, then I would not have thought of him as being, you know, somebody who is safe to platform. Which obviously you guys can tell that that's part of my concern here. I've got a lot of people reaching out saying that I'm fucking crazy for even having Nick on the show. But at the end of the day, I think we should be able to have conversations with people we disagree with. Although I'm currently wondering if this podcast is going to be taken down for Holocaust denial. This is how Fuentes got on No Jumper. It played a massive role in the growth of Fuentes. You know, Fuentes probably wouldn't even have been able to get in the same room with fucking Kanye and Trump if it wasn't for Destiny. It started a chain of events that allowed him to grow and be sanitized for people.
I'm not gonna blackball people, but I think what I'm gonna do is if you feature live on your stream, I think I'm just not gonna have you linked anywhere on my website. So I'm gonna probably kill all embeds and stuff like that. I think that's a reasonable, like, middle ground step for me to take.
Pretty sure that this was right after the irrelevant stream that Smeth was talking about earlier.
It's insane to me that, like, somebody that's hurling around false accusations to multiple people, by the way. Arguably, her worst accusation wasn't even against me. It was against Hassan. I don't want to be involved in promoting anybody. Like, the fact that she's literally getting onto podcasts because she's leached popularity off of my platform and then saying God knows what to these people, because I don't know if she's like telling the because she's talking shit because I asked the whatever podcast people, she's telling them about our history and shit. I don't want to be involved in promoting anything or anybody peripheral to her that's like hosting her. I think I have a right to do it. I think that's okay.
I think it's really weird to say leached popularity off my platform. Like, there's an understanding if you go on a larger streamer's platform that you're gonna grow. Like, this is like generally the way people in this space grow. But if you're not liked, it's leeching. That's just like not like hard criticism. It's fucking weird to hear it being said like that.
Okay. So I'm probably unlisting like Darius and irrelevant streams for my shit until they're finished with that arc, or until she's made false rape accusations against them or whatever. And then maybe they get tired of her, moved on.
It's a spiritual battle between good and evil. Jesus and the Christians on the one side, and the devil and the Jews on the other. It's what it is. It's what it is. They crucify me for saying that, but it's what it is. Let's move on. Yeah, well, recent events have made me kind of just like this Mr. Girl thing and other things. It's like, you know what? Mr. Girl, who's like going around, this guy wants to kill my family. Classic, prototypical, histrionic Jew behavior. And it's like, you know what? Anyway. Okay, anyway. All right, moving on.
Mr. Girl clips this No Jumper interaction with Fuentes. He puts it on Destiny's subreddit and says that he's right. Then he was banned the next day. says, on October 28th, I confronted Destiny on stream. After a few more hours of gaslighting, he blamed his mods for the ban. He eventually admitted he was afraid his audience would turn against him if he didn't shut down certain narratives. Destiny goes on to talk to Aiden Ross. Aiden asks him, do you like Fuentes? Destiny says, personally or politically? Aiden says, both. Destiny, I think he's a funny guy, but he is basically like a fucking Nazi now after Kanye, so not the biggest fan. The same day, someone posted a link to an anti-Semitic speech given by Fuentes and titled the post, Fuentes Nazi Rally Last Night. Dude is completely mask off now, talking about how cool Hitler is, that we need to get rid of the Jews. Top comment, nobody say it. Edit, banned. Seems like this is probably part of a conclusion. I'm sure some of you are horrified by this story. Destiny's engagement with Fuentes was vile. He wields his power like a child, and he's unthinkably self-interested. But I do want to make a broader point. If the YouTube algorithm was a person, it would be Destiny. The algorithm follows the same lizard brain instincts. It has no qualms about manipulating you, hurting you, scaring you, or provoking you to rage. It does not care who or what it platforms as long as you keep watching. I just now checked if YouTube has monetized the No Jumper video featuring Fuentes and Sneeko. Yep. And when YouTube gets caught promoting Nazism, vaccine misinformation, or conspiracy theories, they'll ban the creator of the video or attach a little hand-wringing notice above the description box. It's gaslighting. YouTube is blasting Nazi talking points into your 13-year-old child's brain while assuring you that they're working around the clock to make sure YouTube is safe for kids. It's not safe for anyone. How can it be? The algorithm is never held accountable. It's never even seen. I poked it with one finger and my career was instantly ground to pieces. I thought a friend of mine was joking when he said this, but after laying it out, I know it's the truth. I was banned from YouTube because I'm a Jew. I know for a fact that dealing with feedback from fans can be frustrating. There are concern trolls that will pretend to be giving you feedback, but they're just trying to get to you. It really wears thin your patience, and it can be hard, but I think that that is part of the job, especially if you're platforming Nazis. You're filming, okay, point that at me. I'm gonna take a shot of Malort.
Yeah, not so good, huh?
Yeah, it tastes like Windex melt.
I thought it tasted like rubbing alcohol with like 90% burning rubber tire. It tastes like burning rubber tire?
Delicious Malort made by the French.
They're not French.
I kind of thought he was just gonna like barf when he took the shot. That was a pretty good video. Unironically, I think Smeth did a better job at talking about the report and making the points the report wanted to make than the report seemed to do. Let me put it this way. I think that people that watch this video have a better chance of seeing the points in the report than the people that read the report. I think it's much more accessible, much more digestible, it's much more understandable, and is only 2 hours long, as opposed to reading it, which is, I mean, obviously that's just like a given, but still, I think he did a great job. think I was gonna rate it. I'd say the Destiny report. I get 8 out of 10, which is really good. Yes, some people might think that's like only okay. Like 5 would be okay. 8 out of 10 is really good. The audio, I would say, is like 9.5 out of 10. It's absolutely phenomenal. Every aspect of the audio was just like tremendous. All the bee footage was amazing. I really liked all the animals. Thought it was a really cool and creative way to keep us like visually occupied during it. I think that the way that he broke down things from the report was like very good. Like very impressive way of explaining a lot of the different things. Even like having what I assume would be his girlfriend in there, explaining uh like her perspective on some of the stuff. I thought was really good. Um, so it's not just like, hey, this is like my view on it. I think that having a female perspective on some of these things who's not like a streamer in the space is like a really smart thing to do. Um, I like I still say that my biggest criticism with this video is that sometimes the music was so interesting or so good that like it made me lose focus on what he was saying. It could just be because I have a squirrel brain, but could just be that he overdid the interestingness of that one song. I actually had to rewind specifically because of it. Yeah, I really liked that. Oh, shoot, you know what? I gotta uh
How much money is it?
wow. Like doubled in views since I talked to him last. It wasn't that long ago. That's really good. I'm actually gonna put a link to his video. I wanted to make sure that I linked to his actual video. That's really good. And I make sure that doing my due diligence here, not just sort of like siphoning off interest over to me. I think he deserves to have anybody who watches this have direct access to his video. I'm probably gonna watch later him talk to Sunday about it. I'm kind of interested to see how that conversation goes. I'm not trying to like just like farm Smeth's content here. I'm not gonna like stream that one, but the Destiny report video aside, I found out that when Wick did the Vaush debate, I watched it. I watched all the way up to like here or something. And then I found out that Extreme Dad came on to talk to Vaush, and I was like, oh shit, this happened? I gotta see this. And I found out on Twitter when I ran to the restroom when I took like a 2-minute break during this stream, and so I had to like come back and watch it immediately. And since I've done some stuff about Extreme Dad alongside off the back of what Will did and stuff, I figured I'd just check it out here because why not? So I'm really interested in seeing how this goes. I watched like a couple seconds of it and I was like, I'll just put this at the end of my stream.
Last person. Oh.
Look at Vosh's reaction.
Last person. Oh.
I really like that.
Ooh, you're live. Go ahead.
How's it going? Vosh, I was just wondering, I've waited a really long time for this. And I was just wondering
the look on his face is priceless.
If you could tell the people what made you decide to lie and with intent deceive and
good on Wick for accommodating. Because you can hate him or you can just like have had enough of Extreme Dad and just tired of hearing from him and all that. But the fact remains that he didn't deserve what happened to him. He didn't do the things that he was accused of. And because of those accusations, he suffered massive, massive consequences. And that's wrong. Very cool that Wick gave him a chance to confront Vosh about it. He's been
your
silent
audience
since the Extreme
calling
Daddy
me a
Festo.
pedophile when you knew that to not be true. And what's kept you from retracting that when all the evidence and everything come out and you've ignored me, you haven't responded to my emails. You cost me a lot. Your audience has doxed and harassed me. The compounding negativity that you've caused me.
Wait, is this Extreme Dad?
It sure is, buddy.
Okay.
Do you realize
knew it
that
was.
people still harass me about that today?
No, I that's the idea of this being anything other than self-directed is unfathomable to me because
I don't know what
see
that means.
That's where I stopped it.
Okay.
Yes, this is about me.
No, yeah, I know that. So nobody in my community that I see, at least, like engagement-wise, I don't see people talking about you. Normally, when there's like community harassment that's ongoing, it's kind of like kept, like a flame is kept kind of smoldering by some sort of persistent engagement. I haven't seen that happen, which makes me wonder what the fuck is going on with you. Listen, Extreme Dad, I don't remember anything about our engagement.
Well, let me refresh your memory. You said
perhaps it might.
I just want to make.
Perhaps
make
it might
clear.
be most effective to just.
Yeah.
Briefly apologize and then. Move
Wait,
on.
I don't know. Apologize. What? Sure.
Apologize for
I don't even know what the
knowingly
stakes are.
saying you said that I was in your server, that you caught me preying on minors in your community. You
I
said
don't manage
on
my Discord server. I think I remember
your Reddit account, Irish
think-
Laddie, said that I got caught preying on children.
Sir, you have to
Okay,
let him respond. You've made an allegation. Bosch, go ahead.
No, I don't even know. I think I remember like 3 years ago, Extreme Dad was somebody who was on my stream once or twice, and then
I don't remember this at all, but it was 3 years ago.
some years ago, somebody was like, "Oh, he was being creepy to a minor in Discord, so we removed him." And then later, someone was like, "Oh, what happened to Extreme Dad?" And I was like, "Oh, that happened to Extreme Dad." I don't directly manage Discord server moderation because I'm a very
No,
busy
but you
guy,
directly
12
manage
hours
the
a
words
difference.
that come out of your mouth. And
Okay.
you went on stream and you said to your audience that you had caught me preying on minors.
Okay, I don't.
And that was
remember
not
the
true, was
exact
it?
Words.
That was not true, was it?
How would I
Was
just
that true or
repeated what
not?
My Discord.
Was it true or not? Did you
okay,
catch me
stop,
preying on minors?
Okay,
stop.
so I would submit his behavior here as evidence towards
Did you or did
insanity,
you
which
not catch
further
me preying on
exonerates me.
minors, Vosh?
Catch
Was there
you?
any?
You gotta let him
Like
respond, buddy.
Hanson?
I muted you till he does.
Oh no. Okay, look. If this is literally like me repeating something a Discord mod, I don't even know which Discord mod, but like generally speaking, I think that my Discord mods do a good job of assessing. People complain about them, of course, but complain about everyone, of assessing whether or not somebody's like engaging in bad behavior. However, the idea that like you being removed from a Discord server and flippantly mentioned by me has led to 3 years of harassment towards you is, I'm just gonna say it without any knowledge at all, insane. So whatever happens, this is self-directed. Whatever is happening here, this is like you've carried this with you, okay? But you know what? I don't care, because I was just repeating something a Discord mod said 3 years ago. So sure, I exonerate you. To my knowledge, you're not a pedophile. You've never been a pedophile. You are an upstanding human in every respect, and I don't care, and I wish you the best of luck. You're not getting back in the Discord server, though.
Okay,
I
last
just,
word,
I
then we're gonna
don't,
let you go. Nobody.
I
All right.
don't
That's all.
remember enough to
And do
engage.
you apologize for any negativity or pain that he caused me?
Well, okay, some of the negativity was because I remember those debates with you, and I think we have some pretty strong political disagreements. So I think at least some of the negativity had to have been warranted based on direct engagements with you.
Yeah, okay, but some of it was probably the result of saying that I was preying on minors in your community, I would imagine.
Well,
right? That would probably cause a little bit of negativity to be sent my way, right?
Well, I mean, I guess if I'm
And that wasn't
officially
true. So I'm just
right,
saying, can you apologize for
I'll
saying it?
take your word for it. You know what? I'm sorry for all the harm that I've caused you.
Thank you so
don't
much. I
know. I
appreciate
don't
that.
know if I have, and I certainly don't think it was knowing. But I hope that you do well, and I wish you the best of luck. Okay, and I wish
right,
you
thank
no
you.
ill will moving forward.
Apologies.
No,
Base,
no,
Bosh.
that's fine.
Base,
I was
Bosh.
that took me a sec. I was like flashing back there. I was like running through those like mental Rolodexes to try to find out what was going on there. I hope he turns out okay. You know, even with the people I have strong disagreements with or whatever, I don't like revel in the thought of anyone being unhappy. Even people I have strong disagreements with, I hope that
Yeah, Saxon, I decided I'm not playing any games or anything off of the main screen, so I've just been shuffling a deck of cards, just like a regular deck of cards, to keep my hands busy. So that way I'm not like super easily distracted. Because usually when I'm watching something, I'll be like playing poker or I'll be playing like Magic or something off screen. But I really wanted to give my full attention to Smeth's video, so I've just been shuffling like a regular deck of cards under the camera for the most part. Sometimes a little bit above. This is huge for Extreme Dad. I remember Will and I actually like brainstorming with each other, like what would be the best way to actually get Vouch to apologize to him, because we knew it was so meaningful to Extreme Dad to get that apology, and like it's been really hard for him to let this go because of how much he personally needed that apology. This tremendous. I'm really, really happy for him. And good on Vouch for doing the right thing.
unhappiness is a catalyst to help them with self-improvement. But in that case, that seems like it's a wacky case.
Okay, gang. Maybe not the
Forgiveness
one we
is the
wanted to
way.
end on, but this is again. We have to go. We have things to do. And gang, what do we got coming up? So Monday, I'll be having a debate between Omar and probably Beckett, but that's still up in the air, about whether Saddam Hussein was a good guy. Tuesday, I will be debating with President Sunday as to the efficacy of political violence. And yeah, that's what we got on the docket so far. Tune in, gang. Tune in. But for now, I bid thee all.
I had a lot of fun. Thank you for having me on. Bagel, thank you very much for the conversation. I enjoyed it quite a lot.
Same to you both. I really appreciate it.
Take care, everyone.
Oh. What a cool fucking thing to see. I never would have thought I'd see that. Like I said, Will and I, we discussed a lot of different ways to try to like imagine how we could do that. Like, we think at one point we even floated the idea of just like getting an ad to run on Vouch's channel about what he did. I didn't see that debate. That sounds crazy. I wanna see that. The framing, by the way, I picked Winnie the Pooh ones that had the hands just below the frame. That's funny. Yeah, I understand the implication. It makes me think this will be a good awkward thing to end the stream on. I used to have a pair of boxers that were SpongeBob's face. Oh, add mute. Hold on. Oh, okay. I will wait for Spaxon to come back and I'll tell my silly story. I'm gonna get out of here. Add one. Be a Royal Navy DJ engineer. Audibly drain your bank with Audible. Hey, I like Audible. Okay. And I'm gonna tell this goofy story. It reminds me of what you said about the Winnie the Pooh thing, and then I'm gonna dip for now. But oh yeah, I guess I'll just add real quickly. This is my first stream since the other day. I got YouTube partnered, so this is my first stream streaming on YouTube where people could actually like super chat. So they didn't, which I didn't really expect them to, but like it's just cool that I got the thing. I got the thing. Should a bit, but the ED that was super. It was super. Thank you for the bit. So you said like the Winnie the Pooh thing with the hands down below the camera. I used to have a pair of boxers that had SpongeBob SquarePants face on them. The face was really big, and his nose, while still on there, was right where the fly was. So like if you were to take a piss, like your dick was his nose, especially like if you had a boner, like you had like a very like SpongeBob and then like human penis nose in the exact spot that it would be, and I always thought that was the funniest fucking thing. And I kept them for like a very long time just because of how fucking comical they were to have. Uh, that's probably the funniest article of clothing I've ever owned. I'm coming back and streaming again. I'm doing okay. I've just had a lot going on like personal life end. So it's just been hard for me to motivate up to streaming. And I think part of it is that I finally interviewed Mr. Girl for the Mr. Girl video project. And like, you know that thing where you have like an abstract goal that like you can't reach and then you achieve it and then it's just like you kind of lose the wind in your sails. That's sort of just like what happened too. Like I just couldn't think of like what do I want to do now? Looks like oh. Judd might have got rid of DK? What? No way. Yeah, Cleveland seems to be the main man. The real cunt. I was there when you arrived in Mr. Girl's space. Ernest, the man who was going to document the Mr. Girl experience. I still am. I definitely still am. Yeah, so not a big Queeman fan myself. Was there when ED arrived, and there when Lab arrived, and I was there when everyone arrived. Cool days. Yeah, you were there the first day that I was in the Discord. I talked to you the first day that I was there. I remember. I'm the fan of only one tech. I'm the fan of only one. Technically Stardust. I appreciate all. Oh, dude. So like I feel like I'm just like not allowed to talk about any of the discourse that's happened about me. Uh, because if I do, everything that I say is just like I cope, or like obviously there's like some kind of inherent bias or whatever, but like I thought Stardust did really, really good against Chud. This is a board here. Yeah, it's fucked, this space. Are you saying this space is fucked, or discourse about me? I'm bad with context in text, but I have a real magic trick. People ban me so I don't get sucked into the vortex. You do get banned a lot. Really do. I'm sorry, buddy. Oh, I'm like dying. I'm like sweating and dying. Oh, man. Oh. How close not getting picked up by the mic. Everyone was striving. I guess that's one of the weird things about how I stream. I don't like. I don't think I would say I'm striving to be a streamer. I just like doing the stuff I do. To add to the abuse of the space, you know, the secret suspicious user list mods I have. I am somewhat aware of this, yes. If they ask me. And I think some people, I feel like people either, they like are super annoyed by the fact that I don't like, I guess it's kind of like I just don't take this shit that seriously. Like streaming. I just really like what I do. I just like being able to talk to people. And when people, I think people are stupid, I like arguing with them. And I think that the stuff that I get into is fun, but like I'm not like, I don't take myself or it super serious. That either annoys people a lot, or people like that about me. So back into things is fuck from mods being like respect my yeah, you're based. Thanks, Saxon. It's the only thing that's like ever like comes off as really annoying to me is that when people think that when people say that I'm lying about something, that always blows my mind. Like, what I fucking, I don't care about anybody here to a degree to where I feel like I'd have to lie. Like, what the fuck? Not a striver for streaming comparatively. Yeah, like the stuff that I do, I stream it because it just like opens the door for me to be able to do some of the stuff that I like to do. I used to have a lot of conversations like this in just like the intellectualist Discord server and shit. Before I started streaming. But streaming seems to let me get to people that I would rather have a conversation with, and I just have to wait for somebody to pop into a Discord call. And I've met some really cool people too. The accusations are inherent in the space of fake debating. You're lying is not the Mr. Grill. You're not being honest with yourself. Yeah, like I did a debate where I debated a bunch of people on Stardust stream, and I remember it's like Doobie was just basically saying like I'm just lying, like I'm gonna lie to like prop up like my argument, which is just bananas to me. When I was the only one that night that like I feel like I was the only person who was saying like, yeah, what you're saying is possible, but like you're not even considering that what I think is likely is the possible thing. Uh, and like I must be lying to come to that conclusion. It was pretty wild. You know me because I did not know the space I came into this world pure quality discussion in the first 6 weeks of Mr. Grill space. Let me see. Oh, I didn't know that was like your first like real space of engagement. That's interesting. Um, but I gotta get out of here now. I gotta take a shower. I'm like covered in sweat. Because my house is fucking hot and I didn't want my fan blowing up into my mic. My first taste of snow was turds. Discourage and disrupt. Oh, that's fair. Uh, and I'm also like super duper hungry. I'm doing my best now to like never eat on stream again. I hate it's so awkward eating on stream. But I plan on streaming more in the next like over the next week. I just got to get back into the swing of it. It took me like 40 minutes just to set this up. Yeah, I need to hydrate too. That's a good point. I've seen you hit me up, by the way, on Discord. I haven't like responded to almost anybody in like 2 or 3 weeks just because I've been just like depressed from life stuff. Like I have depression. Like just having like a depressive mind state. I've just been like on off mode. I haven't done much of almost anything, so and but to be clear, 100% not because of any of the Chud stuff. I watched all that stuff and I still think it's funny. Uh I never thought any of it was like everybody in the entire world thought it was a bigger deal than I did on both sides. But which is funny to me. My solution is I hate DMs, I hate text chat. I like having a place in the plaza of the village where people say, "Hey, what's up?" No consent needed. Yeah, I know. I actually don't like text chat that much either because I have a really hard time understanding what people mean by things because there's no tone. And sometimes I get confused. And sometimes I don't know when I started getting confused or I don't know if the other person got confused. And it's really weird to like realize that something's been lost like halfway through a conversation. All right, that's it for me for now. Thank you for the people that like the stream on YouTube. And thanks to Debate Queen for the $41 for the Trevor Foundation again, Trevor Project again. And thank you, Saxon, for the